Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Long time no see, long time no hear. This is your host, Muhammad Abu Shuaib from the UK, and we've got a very interesting show to unpack today. And I'm really glad and honored to be joined with two panelists, one based in the US, and of course, Brother Yusuf, based in South Africa. And it's been an amazing partnership. Myself and Brother Yusuf also has got a YouTube channel called the South African Debate Initiative, and he's got some fantastic content on his YouTube channel. So please go and like, share, and subscribe. And of course, in the middle, we've got our sister Amer, all the way from the US, and this will be a very fascinating show. And we want to have good interaction in the chat, and possible we'll have some people coming on to ask questions if you are confident and willing to share your thoughts. But the main thing is the link will be posted, and of course you need to have your camera on at all times. We do not want any nut jobs coming on and disrupting the show due to copyrights and other negative contributions. But that's me. So I'm gonna really focus on 2 points. First of all, we're going to talk about, of course, the Epstein files, and of course, the connection with Mossad. And now we're hearing that they're trying to put Russia into the kettle also, or the pot, and mix it to try to distract or confuse people that if Epstein was actually a Mossad spy or working for the Russian government. So with that, inshallah, we'll be touching on the aspects of ICE. And of course, Sister Umair is in the middle, and hopefully coming from the US, we're going to be unpacking that also. So please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's COVFF. And of course, Brother Yusuf's channel, the South African Debate Initiative. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Brother Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Habibi.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to be back always, and hopefully we have a good discussion this afternoon. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, of course, our sister in the middle, Amer. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? You're just muted. You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to hear. Good to see you. So yeah, Brother Yusuf, let's unpack this aspect of the Epstein files, and it's rampant here in the UK now. Even the government here, the Labour Party, are really clutching at straws now because they've realised this particular person by Mandelson, who's been, him and his boyfriend or his husband, have been receiving, backhanders, as we say here in the UK.
Sure.
And now this is really hitting Keir Starmer, who is the Labour Party Prime Minister. And of course, the whole government now are really desperate now to figure out who's named or who is mentioned in these emails. Don't think the Conservative Party is not kind of like involved. One thing that is quite fascinating in the UK, a lot of the politicians are either married to somebody from Israel, or a spouse that is Israeli, or connected with that. And are they moles, as we say here in the UK? Are they secret moles who have been put into partnership or put into bed with these type of politicians? So there's going to be a very big ditch to kind of like dig to put so many people in it. But like I said, the aspects of the Labour Party now, and people are calling for Keir Starmer to resign, because this particular individual, Mandelson, was well known even 10, 15 years ago to be a person who is prone to take, contributions or backhanders or whatever, table money under the table and so forth. So, Brother Yusuf, have you come across this issue with the Labour Party here, especially in the UK?
Yeah, no, sure. But let's just start off with what all these particular government officials and prime ministers, certainly your prime minister has compromised a lot of the parties, Peter Mandelson. Just to give a brief background, Epstein files are a collection of documents, millions of documents, images, videos, and emails, screenshots detailing criminal activities of a financier, an American financier, and a convicted pedophile by the name of Jeffrey Epstein. And essentially, it includes his social circle of public figures, celebrities, and so on. Now, Epstein himself was basically an American financier. He would finance projects, finance politicians. He essentially entered the banking and financial sector in the 70s. He worked for a Jewish company called Bear Stearns before starting his own firm. And what he then did was he cultivated an elitist social circle where he procured, close to 1,000 to 2,000 underage minor children, girls, teenagers, young women, who were then subjected to repeated rape and sexual violence by him and his associates. And he also provided fortune by he provided tax and estate services to basically various politicians and various celebrities. Now, the Epstein files are just the documents, and it's supposedly called Epstein Phase 1, which essentially lays the majority of content. By the way, most of the content that has been released in this 3 million files, the vast majority of the content that has been released has been redacted or has been blacked out. There's 3 million pages. The Department of Justice has stated that there are approximately 6 million pages that may qualify as files are required to be basically released, and that this would be the first in a staged process. Now, Epstein himself, he was already convicted. He was charged in 2006, and he was convicted and entered into what was called a plea bargain agreement in 2008. This essentially happened where, and his lawyer, by the way, was the notorious lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who basically helped this sex offender get this plea deal. And essentially, what was then happening is that he was indicted again. He was charged in 2019, and then apparently he died in prison without having been convicted. He was basically awaiting, the trial. Now, what happened as a result of this is that as a result of these convictions, it came out is that the Epstein files are essentially relating to documents collected as evidence in the criminal case against Epstein and his associates. And they include his contact book. They include his flight logs of his planes. They include some court documents that have basically been redacted. And what has basically been happening is that as a result of this exposure, a lot of prominent individuals within politics, within the United States administration, Trump, for example, has been mentioned the most number of times. You've got people like you mentioned, Peter Mandelson, but there are a number of prominent individuals that have been mentioned in the Epstein files. Now, to give you an example, I'll just basically share something because this is done, fairly decently. I just want to add something, the share screen here with you. Just give me a second. So these are some of the prominent individuals that are listed. You can see the screen there. These are some of the individuals that are listed in the Epstein files. Woody Allen, for example, he's a filmmaker and a producer. He was regularly at Epstein's house for several years, beginning in 2010. In September 2025, Woody Allen called Epstein a charming and personable and a substantial character, describing dinners attended by college professors, scientists, and Nobel laureates. Allen said Epstein told him he had been falsely put in jail, extorted, and was trying to make up for it now by being philanthropic. The problem is that he had already been convicted in 2008, already at that stage of raping minor children. Then you've got Anil Ambani, an Indian businessman, managing director of the Reliance Group. He was introduced to Epstein by this man here, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, an Emirati businessman, the chairperson and chief executive officer of DP World and the chairman of Port Customs and Free Zone Corporation. And basically, according to messages, Ambani sought Epstein's advice on engaging with the White House on India, US, and Defense Corporation. So some of these individuals have been there, some of these individuals have not. Eva Anderson Dubin, a Swedish physician and former model. There was repeated visits. They continued to associate with him after he was jailed for soliciting child prostitution in 2008. You've got the Israeli-American author, Dan Ariely. There's an email from Ariely to Epstein, which he requests a name and email of a redhead, obviously a woman that had been introduced by him, Jose Maria Aznar, Peter Aptia, the Canadian-American, Joshua Bach, Steve Bannon. This guy here is a former American Trump man, media executive, political strategist, pundit, and former chief strategist of the White House. And Epstein often banned the use of his Paris apartment, Palm Beach house, and the two dined frequently all along. They dined quite regularly. And this was quite interesting. Former Israeli Prime Minister and back then Minister of Defense, Ehud Barak. And in a 2013 recording between Barak and Epstein encouraged Barak to look at working with Peter Thiel's company Palantir. I think that's a armaments company. Previously leaked emails from Barak's account show how Epstein leveraged his relationship with Barak to approach powerful figures like Thiel, a former director of an Israeli signals intelligence, and two people in Vladimir Putin's circle. Now, there's also an email where he tells Epstein that he tells Barak in reference to someone else whose name is blocked out, that person should not have any awareness that he's a Mossad agent. That's an email. And that's probably one of the strongest communications in terms of which Epstein basically confesses to being an agent. You've got Tom Barak, you've got former Deputy Minister of Economics in Russia, Leon Black. This is a chap, Ahmed bin Sulayman, the Emirati businessman. You've got another American businessman, Epstein. You've got Leon Boestein. You've got Richard Branson. Email between Branson suggests a familiar relationship built at least around the interest in women. The Virgin Group founder wrote, anytime you're in the area, would love to see, as long as you bring your harem. And he tried to justify this, that there are basically 3 adult women that were involved in this. Then, of course, you've got Flavio. Sergey Brin, this is the individual that was the founder, co-founder of Google, what we use. The documents indicated, visited Epstein's private island and corresponded with Ghislaine Maxwell about attending dinners at Epstein's home. So Google, the founder of Google, Sergey Brin, the actual co-founder of Google, apparently visited the island numerous times. David Brooks, you've got the former director of the CIA, William Burns, meeting him. And there's a whole lot of individuals that are here. Deepak Chopra, basically the so-called New Age guru. In 2016, the author asked Epstein if he knew Trump's ex-wife Marla Maples. Epstein replied that he had lost $10,000 bet with Trump when Marla Maples became pregnant. And so there was some form of communication between them. And this is the most important one, the relationship between Clinton and Epstein. The documents frequent communications between Maxwell and Clinton staffers between 2001 and 2004. And that's a period during which the former president traveled on Epstein's plane at least 16 times. Much of the correspondence pertained to travel and dining logistics. In 2003, Maxwell asked Clinton staffer if the former president would like to attend a dinner. Some emails between Maxwell and Clinton office addresses were flirtatious. So he's actually flirting with Ghislaine Maxwell. In one message, Maxwell said that the recipient was hung like a horse, an apparent allusion to tabloid stories about 2002 about Clinton's association with New York socialite Lisa Bellsberg. A Clinton spokesman said that the former president did not send any of the emails and never emailed. The spokesman said that Clinton cut ties with Epstein before 2006 and did not know any of his charges, lies. An unredacted message shows Duke Band saying he had a shared BlackBerry account with Clinton. So it's quite clear there's a lot going. Bill Cosby. Now, we know the story, unfortunately, of Cosby. Cosby, for a lot of us, I mean, growing up, you remember the Cosby Show. He was someone that was viewed as a family man. But, you know, as we discovered later, he was convicted of sexual assault, of raping many women, sadly. And, you know, it's just unfortunate that some people, you wished it was never the case, because Bill Cosby was such a likable person, such a likable character. But unfortunately, those that are likable are those that essentially end up doing the negative stuff. So Epstein closely followed Cosby. Between 2017 and 2018, Epstein unsuccessfully pursued purchasing Cosby's home, but they clearly corresponded between each other. I didn't know this. David Copperfield. Copperfield was someone, the magician. You remember David Copperfield? Phone message pad seized by the police showed the illusionist left messages for Epstein 16 times. I mean, Mohammed, we know each other for now more than 3 years. Where have I ever become desperate to contact you, even when I wanted to do a program? 16 times. It's important. Just call to say hello. It's a jackpot. And a partially redacted email in the file described Copperfield as Epstein's favorite cohort and said that tickets with backstage passes were frequent gift Epstein gave to girls. So it's clearly something was going on. And now he claims he was unaware. Dershowitz. This is Epstein's lawyer.
This guy's a scumbag. Come on now.
He's a notorious scumbag. He was his defender. He was a lawyer. And he's been questioned. Of course, I mean, there's nothing wrong defending Epstein. I defend, as a public defender, I defend people who are charged for rape, for murder, sexual assault of minors. That's not a problem. I defend them all the time, daily, as a job as a public defender. And Piers Morgan was questioning a lot of his guests when they questioned why is Dershowitz, what is the problem with defending someone? That's not the issue. The issue is, unlike Dershowitz, I don't socialize with accused. So, for example, if I've got child sex offenders or people who have been charged for raping minor children, I'm not going to be going on a weekend, going on a fishing expedition, going to play soccer with them, meeting up with them, having drinks, going to their house, visiting them. That's a situation. You see, he was his friend, he was his associate. So it was more than just a professional relationship that was in place between the two people. And so essentially, this is basically the story. And then, of course, you've got Sarah Ferguson. Well, I mean, the problem with Sarah Ferguson is her husband, Prince Andrew, was involved in a lot of these shenanigans. Bill Gates, and apparently Gates was at Epstein's house, received women, and apparently got a sexually transmitted disease as a result of his sexual shenanigans. Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama, an email reveals Epstein met with the
Yeah, but
14th Dalai
just wanna
Lama.
just wanna just wanna add regarding Bill Gates. There was a story about he needed some antibiotics because he
Yeah,
caught some, and he didn't want his spouse to also to catch it. So he wanted some medication that will nullify, his infection. And it's really shocking that these, billionaires or multimillionaires are all involved in this web of, disgusting satanic kind of behavior. But the list is long, Brother Yusuf, and inshallah, hopefully
yeah.
we
I
can.
just want to finish this list quickly. But I mean, this is sad. If this did happen, Stephen Hawking is the English theoretical physicist. I mean, a lot of these guys come from your country and the United States. The documents include an email Epstein sent it, asking friends to disprove supposed allegations that Hawking participated in the underage orgy. Epstein said he can issue a reward to them if they can prove allegations are false. The email implies it was written in a response to a newer version of the claim regarding Hawking. Neither Virginia, that's Juffer, nor anyone else had ever publicly accused Hawking, but he's mentioned in some capacity in the files. He's obviously dead now. And then, of course, Michael Jackson, no surprise there, former Prime Minister of Norway. Robert Kennedy, apparently he went on a fossil hunting expedition on an Indian reservation. So, whether these people, and Lawrence Krauss is a debater and a cosmologist. I believe he debated one of your guys at IERA some years back. Here's a situation where apparently he was in some capacity mentioned in these files. Sergei Lavrov, I mean, the list goes on. I mean, I'm just going. Peter Mandelson, which you mentioned, and this goes on. It's quite clear that he went to Epstein's Island. There was obviously monies given in advance, payments that they received. So he was actually buying politicians, buying individuals, and then essentially holding them or blackmailing them. And this guy here was regularly visiting his house, and of course went to the Epstein Island. And one of the people, this lady Virginia, accused him of sexually abusing her, and she apparently died. She died last year in a motor vehicle collision. Well, actually, she didn't die immediately. She met up in a collision. She was taken to hospital, discharged, and apparently she hung herself. How convenient. How convenient. How convenient is this? Elon Musk, Mira Nair. Some of these individuals have been there. Dr. Oz, Stacey Plankett. I mean, just look at these individuals that are there. American Putin. Epstein offered to get a friend. I don't know if they met. I don't know if Putin, in fact, met him. Some met, some are just basically mentioned by name. But these are the individuals that are there. Now, there's one person that apparently is pleading innocent, but the New York Times identified more than 5,300 files containing over 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, Mar-a-Lago, and related terms in January 2026. Many were news articles, but none apparently included direct communication between Trump and Epstein. How convenient is that? How convenient that these files contain no direct communication between the two of them. Because the FBI, just before that, stated that they had a whole host of information about Trump. None of that has been released. A 2011 email indicates that Epstein planned to call Trump regarding Virginia. Trump has claimed he parted ways earlier. Handwritten notes from September 2019 interview described being transported to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump, with Epstein allegedly saying, "This is a good one, huh?" The note did not suggest misconduct by Trump, but he knew he was a convicted child sex pedophile. So what do you say about this?
It's
Melania
shocking. As you can see, it says over 38,000 references of Trump and his wife.
And there's now in the redacted not one, not one direct communication between Trump and Epstein is included. Not one.
I would like to ask Omar, being in the US, and is she surprised, or with the names and the list of people? So, Omar, if you want to unmute yourself, and how do you find this list, and how does it affect the whole structure of the governmental system in the US?
Okay, on a personal level, I'm not surprised about the names that I'm finding in there. You find a lot of people with an elite status, a lot of people who have some sort of power or money or corporate value in the United States that are on this list. It's not surprising to me. I know there are a lot of people that are a little bit surprised by it. I do know that there have been some polls that have come out that said that 60%, about 68% of Trump supporters are upset about what they're seeing in the Epstein files and whose names they're seeing in there. So there are the citizens, I will say, are have some concern, some great level of concern. But from a political or a legal aspect, there doesn't seem to be much coverage on the matter in the United States. They're kind of trying to, it feels like as if they're trying to brush it under the rug here.
Yeah, we do see this a lot here in the UK, especially over the media and the news, that he seems to be like saying, look, come on, let's get over it now. Let's move on to another topic. And it is quite disgusting how some of the media are falling for it and not really reporting it as much. But I think they've got I think we call it like a re-election, is it, in November?
Midterm elections.
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
Midterm elections.
Okay, and what does that, for somebody in the UK, what does that kind of like, what does that mean, like, when it comes to the elections in November, and how can it impact his ratings or his position?
Well, majority of, because we understand we have 3 branches of government in the United States. Majority of the branches are, the seats are held by what we call the red Republicans. So the midterm elections can kind of determine whether or not it's going to stay majority red or if it's going to shift to blue. And that could influence, future laws that are trying to be passed. So it is, I know there's been some comments of Trump, stating, unfortunately, like, oh, he wants to try to cancel the midterm elections, which has never really been done that I know of. But I don't think it will happen. I think, it's good. Things are it would take something very major to stop it. But that's, yeah.
Like what? Like what? What could cause it to not happen? Because I can see something being planned, in his mind to say, look, how can I stop this coming up in November? So what scenarios can be used or situations that can negate, for this to happen in November?
I think, I mean, I have very limited knowledge on that specific question, but I would assume that maybe some sort of major natural, just some type of disaster would have to happen or if he were to declare something like martial law, which I don't think will happen, even though there's been talks of, possible martial law in places like Minnesota. But I don't see it happening, hopefully. But that's what the midterm elections can determine, basically who holds the seat, the majority of the seats in the branches of the government, and that can affect what laws are able to be, passed and how easily they'll be able to pass them.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll be touching on Minnesota a bit later on in the show, especially with the ICE and some of the thuggery that takes place, or some of these arrests that have been taking place, on the screens, and it's just horrible and disgusting that innocent people are being dragged away from their loved ones, from their families, even fatally wounded and much more than that, and we see
Yeah.
it on TV. So I really appreciate that, Brother Yusuf. Is there anything that you would like to ask, or you're muted, Brother Yusuf? You're still muted, Brother Yusuf.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can speak
Good,
now.
good.
I just muted myself there. Yeah, no, there's a lot of information that's essentially coming out. And for example, I mean, there's now something which I basically saw. This was, I think, in the Guardian newspaper or the Independent, that apparently Trump was behind Epstein's death, and this has been alleged by his brother, Mark Epstein. Mark Epstein, I think, a couple of days ago, stated that. In an email, these are emails that were basically sent to the FBI, and there was a kind of a tip, a death in a tip sent to the FBI, stated that Trump was essentially murdered under the orders of apparently Trump, or had some sort of link in relation that. I'm just trying to get this article here, and this is a mainstream newspaper, so it's not something that is being made up. I'll just share this on the screen. And this basically came out, I think, just on the 6th of February, but it's dated to a couple of days ago. So here we are here. If you can just share the screen. Trump accused of role in Epstein's death in explosive emails sent to FBI, documents reveal. If you can basically see this on your screen here. And essentially, what the article is saying, as you can go further down below, that his brother, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, accused Donald Trump of being involved in the late convicted sex offender's death in a tip sent to the FBI, according to a bombshell reveal. Let me just close this off here so these go off completely. On 22nd February 2023, Mark Epstein submitted an online tip to the FBI's Natural Threats Operations Center, alleging that Epstein was murdered in his cell, as opposed to being committing suicide. The Independent confirmed a phone call Mark that he had submitted the tip, which contained 2 spelling errors. The disgraced financier's brother included his personal contact information. Jeffrey Epstein was murdered in his jail cell. I have reason to believe he was killed because he was about to name names. I believe President, that was back then, Trump, authorized his murder. That's how it is there. In the reports, and this is what he sent to the FBI. This is Epstein's brother. In the report's additional information, he said, feel free to contact me, noting that his relationship or connection to Jeffrey Epstein is obvious. Epstein's brother told the Independent that neither the FBI nor any other law enforcement contacted him to follow or investigate his claims. He declined any further comment. A White House spokesperson directed the Independent to the section of January 3rd, published this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, and everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act. And then they reply, some of the documents contain untrue and sensationalist claim against Trump that was submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and they have a shred of credibility. They certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already, but they haven't released the files. Last month, Mark Epstein, a real estate developer, doubled down on his previous claim that he believes his brother did not die by suicide. Jeffrey was murdered, and more autopsy facts will be coming out in February to prove it, he told News Nation. There are only 3 ways to die in prison: suicide, natural causes, or murder. And Jeff was murdered. I want to know who killed him and on whose behalf. In 2025, BBC Newsnight and News Nation that his brother had dirt on powerful people, including during the 2016 election, when Jeffrey Epstein allegedly said revealing what he knew about the candidates could have effectively canceled the elections. So this is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, claiming that Trump was behind the actual killing of the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And Trump has been repeatedly since 2019 making all kinds of attempts to state there's a falling out. Now, in 2019, he said, I had a falling out conveniently with him a long time ago. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you. Mark Epstein also claimed that Trump's public statements were untrue. The problem is, in 2008, he was convicted. In the 2012, 2013, 2015, he was going to Mar-a-Lago with different girls. So he can deny all and everything he wants, as his brother states, but it's pretty clear that he's lying. And every time Trump is being questioned about Epstein, there are repeated attempts to effectively deny everything that is happening, that there's no link. This is an orange flash that's seen outside the cells just before his death. What the flesh was, we don't know. I'm going to go further down. That's not Epstein, by the way. Somewhere you'd see a flash. I think it's not clear. It's not clear here. But the point I'm saying is that it's quite clear that these child molesters, sex offenders, and pedophiles are in the highest echelons and levels of government. You find them all over. I mean, even our president, Jacob Zuma, our ex-president, former president Jacob Zuma, was found in the Epstein files. He apparently had a dinner with him in 2010 when he went to London. I think they stayed at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, there is one in London, after having spent time at the at Buckingham Palace with the Queen of England. And he apparently met Epstein the evening prior to him basically coming back to South Africa. So what it appears to be is that Epstein was apparently attempting at all costs to procure women for powerful figures in government, in the establishment, leaders, celebrities, and then possibly blackmailing them, and then keeping documents on them, and ensuring that this basically enabled him to the highest levels of power. He was clearly a pedophile, and it's clear that the people he supplied with these young teenage girls were also pedophiles. One of the major stories that has been going on for many, many years is the story of Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew of Mountbatten. Prince Andrew, member of the Mountbatten Windsor family, now it's called Andrew Mountbatten and Epstein. And the story effectively goes is that he was reputed to have raped many children, been at Epstein's house, invited Epstein, claiming that he's always on Epstein's team. He kept close ties with Epstein. And this was the famous picture of this girl that he was with in I think 2008, Virginia Roberts back then.
That's right.
Changed the name
Do you remember the interview? Do you remember the interview that he gave on BBC? Everybody knew that he was lying. He was, even the reporter, interviewer was having the idea that this person is sweating so much, he's lying. And it all came out now that he was
here's a liar. You can share the screen. This is the one. Email, this is the 5th of February. Email confirms photo of former Prince Andrew and Virginia is real. You know, he was denying that this picture was real. He couldn't reply that. He said that this was not his hand. He can't remember having hands on someone. This was upstairs. He can't remember having gone upstairs. A newly released email confirms the authenticity with his arm around the waist. A disgraced former prince has long denied allegations he sexually assaulted this girl while she was a teenager. But in the trove of documents, last week in a 2015 email, purportedly emailed to Epstein, purported from his former girlfriend, long-time accomplice, that suggests an image of Ghislaine, of her and Andrew is real. The message was headed draft statement sent to Ghislaine Maxwell, to the late convicted sex trafficker. It was London when redacted met a number of friends of mine, including Prince Andrew. A photograph was taken as I imagined she wanted to show it to friends and family. Details in the statement and subsequent emails from Epstein the same day indicated the redacted name was Virginia. The message adds that G. Maxwell did not see anything improper, how convenient, that took place at my home. In a separate email to Epstein, G. Maxwell said, I have to distance myself from you in statement 2, and they need me to say I was not aware of Mossad with Andrew in my house. So this is basically him having denied this all the years, and now we've discovered that he was a regular. He was basically a regular in the house. Epstein reveals more details of Epstein's celeb dinner for Andrew. This was from the BBC a couple of days ago. Look at the satanic grin that he's got there. I mean, it's just that the royal family, these monarchs, you know, David Icke once said that they're reptiles. And if you look at his teeth and his eyes, it's quite clear that this guy is a sexual predator through and through. And his response
but of
was,
course,
you know, when
Yusuf also, I don't know if you want to mention that even Buckingham Palace, and you know, it was also being done there. That, you know, people were brought back to these properties which are owned by, you know, the monarch, and these rituals, even they were suggested that there were rituals taking place. I don't know if that is also mentioned in this report. So, you know, the UK right now is the majority of the population are in uproar that, you know, we are paying for the upkeep of these monarchs, and they are using these locations as brothels or, you know, satanic rituals. So I don't know if that also mentioned.
I mean, do you remember the time that he was questioned in that Newsnight interview as to why he went to visit Epstein? And his response was that he went to say a final farewell. Now, why would you go and say a final farewell to a convicted pedophile? Why would you do that? And now the emails confirm that his visit was not a somber goodbye. Andrew was apparently a star guest at a lively gathering of celebrities at the Manhattan townhouse. And instead of cutting off ties, Andrew was in touch later that month to give season's greetings to US family. Looking forward to joining you all again. So if he's going to say goodbye, which is what he told the Newsnight, I forget the lady's name who had interviewed him. Why does he have an email here? There's an email which he says that I look forward to seeing you all over again soon. So it's clearly he went on a visit. It wasn't basically it wasn't just a goodbye. And that was at the time after Epstein had served a sentence for procuring a child for prostitution. Would you associate with someone who's been involved in child prostitution? Absolutely not. So why would this individual, among the guests were Woody Allen, George Stephanopoulos, Chelsea Handler, and Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose also had allegations of sexual harassment leveled against him. These are major media presenters in the United States. And so now, of course, people are playing it down in relation to what transpired. Woody Allen tragically was there. He was there. I'm always on your team. This is basically that where a file suggests that Andrew was a man. There was a man in the palace for Jeffrey Epstein. File suggests David Stern was Jeffrey Epstein's man in the palace, passing messages to the former prince until 2019, when he was in prison and eventually died. Jeffrey Epstein wanted his 26-year-old Belarusian girlfriend and a friend to have a good time in London, and he knew just who to ask. Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew. The email's recipient was David Stern, the director of Andrew Mountbatten, whose registered office lay within Buckingham Palace.
Brother
So
Yusuf,
at this time,
I know we've named so many people on on this list here, and the audience are still kind of like grasping on to some of these major figures and individuals who possibly played a huge part in our lives. Woody Allen and so forth in the movies, and you got Copperfield, in doing magic and all this kind of satanic rituals. We haven't really gone back to the source of who was Epstein, who was he funded by, and this is what I see the media not really talking about. Who was he actually working for?
it's quite clear who Epstein was working for. It is quite clear. And the word strikes you directly in the face. And we've been dealing with this for more than 2 years now. Epstein was clearly Israel's man. Epstein was working for Israel. He had links for Israel. He became an Israeli spy. The ties to former Prime Minister Barak prove Epstein worked for Israel. And the issue which we have here is why the media is not touching Jeffrey Epstein's clear connection to Israel. That's what they're not discussing. They're discussing everything else. So Mahdi Hassan, for example, on Zateo, did Prem Takar, who's a journalist who obviously is is in many of these White House briefings in the past, used to be present. He was now kicked out from the White House for asking too many questions, Prem Takar. But he wrote an interesting article that is the kind of elephant in the room, and that's here. That's here, Mama. Just share the screen. Why is the media not touching Jeffrey Epstein's clear connection to Israel? They're instead focusing on the possibility that Epstein was a Russian asset, which is rubbish. So he says here, the Department of Justice's latest release of files related to Epstein implicates many and also adds an increasing pile of evidence suggesting ties between the infamous, well-connected pedophile and the Israeli government. But much of the media has remained silent on the connections and have looked at other links. In the past week, there's been a suggestion that he's been a Russian spy, but barely many of the media outlets have covered Epstein's eyebrow-raising links to Israel, which many of us have been saying. Notice anything from Google search of Epstein Mossad from today. So he does a Google search. And on the Google search, FBI informant became convinced Epstein was an Israeli spy. Epstein, Israel's Barak, discussed gigantic consultancy sums paid to Blair. Epstein was co-opted Mossad agent. The Epstein files, Israel, Trump, and what mainstream media leaves out. The Epstein's files, which have not been completed, have countless indications. In a 2018 email, Epstein sought to arrange a meeting between Ehud Barak and former Qatari Prime Minister Hamad bin Jassam Al Thani. He appeared to, you should make clear that I don't work for Mossad. Why would you say that? And he's got a smiley face. So here's the email here. If you look at the email, here's the email. I don't know if we can expand this email. Sent from my iPhone on 17 December. That was Epstein's email. So if you had got it right, very simple email, jeevacation@gmail.com. If you just guessed that correctly, some 10 years ago, you'd be probably having conversations with Jeffrey Epstein. That was his email address. So on the 17th of December, Ehud Barak wrote, "Hi, Jeff. Are you going to be in London on Thursday? Best, Ehud Barak." Jeffrey Epstein responds, "Unfortunately not. You should make clear that I don't work. You should make clear that I don't work for Mossad." Smiling face. Then Ehud Barak says, "You or I?" Then he responds, "That I don't." Smiling face. What does it tell you, Mohammed? What does it tell you?
It's really clear. You don't have to
that he's a Mossad agent, that this guy
Absolutely.
is a Mossad agent through and through. And in fact, the Palestine Chronicle, which did an interesting article, the Palestine Chronicle. Basically, Palestine Chronicle on Epstein did basically an interesting Epstein. Let's just type. This is an interesting article. Epstein was working. Netanyahu targets Barak plan. This is a South African Jewish reports. South African Jewish report is a well-known, and they've targeted a lot of us. They've targeted a lot of us that are involved in anti-Israel. So where are we? There's one there. Go Palestine Chronicle. Well, this is on Israeli killings continue. Now let's go here. Netanyahu obviously has denied Epstein work, but Netanyahu, by the way, is also in the Epstein files. I don't know in what capacity, but here's the situation. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu used a renewed focus on the Epstein files to attack Premier Ehud Barak while rejecting claims of any Israeli connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Netanyahu wrote that Epstein did not work for Israel. Now, why would you go out of your way to say that? Why would you go out of your way to say that? And argue that Epstein's unusual close relationship with Ehud Barak doesn't suggest Epstein works for Israel. It proves the opposite. But how can it prove the opposite? This is a former prime minister, former minister of defense recently. How can it prove the opposite? Netanyahu's posting escalated into a broad political indictment. He said Barak was stuck on his election loss from over 2 decades ago, and for years obsessively attempted to undermine Israeli democracy by working with the anti-Zionist radical left. But Barak was a Zionist through and through. Israeli and international coverage has again highlighted Barak's documented proximity to Epstein, including repeated meetings years after Epstein's conviction and widely circulated photographs of Barak entering Epstein's Manhattan residence. The latest Justice Department disclosures, part of an ongoing, have continued to list high-profile names in that particular universe. What gets lost when Netanyahu says it proves the opposite? Netanyahu's core claim is not simply that there is no evidence in these files, an argument that Israeli. His stronger move is rhetorical. He argues that Epstein's closeness to Barak is itself proof that Epstein works for Israel. That leap does not follow from the public record. Even if no intelligence link is established, the disclosures surrounding reports showing Epstein repeatedly intersecting with Israeli political life and with Israel-aligned Western influence networks means that the issue cannot credibly be reduced to a single rival's relationship as decisive exoneration. Epstein's network spans multiple governments, parties, and power centers, including close contacts of Israel in the US and UK, figures whose name and relationship continues to reappear in the document-driven news cycles. Separate document disclosures linked to the same wave have amplified scrutiny of Tony Blair's after an audio surfaced in which Epstein and Barak discuss what they describe as gigantic consultancy sums connected to Blair. So they were paying Tony Blair. The matters between Blair is not an incidental figure. He's a long-standing Western political actor, deeply associated with interventionist policies in the Middle East. And he was paid, in all likelihood, by Epstein, consultancy fees. So Epstein basically established his niche market within the global elites by paying them large sums of money and by procuring minor girls to these sick, psychopathic bastards. In other words, the world that we see around you is essentially run by pedophiles. Essentially run by pedophiles.
I just want to mention also, Brother Yusuf, here in the UK, we had this particular individual by the name of Tommy Robinson who went around the UK trying to highlight, the grooming gangs here and so forth. And he even traveled to Israel to get their support, some funding, or to, make links. And now he's nowhere to be seen, because now how is he going to speak out regarding the Epstein files, which are all involved in this type of human trafficking and also the aspects of pedophilia. So no, he's nowhere to be seen now. So even you got people calling him out, like Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawa, Zeshan from Smile to Jannah. All these people, all these brothers are calling him out, saying, "Where are you now? How come you're not speaking up about this?" And also, I wanted to touch on APAC. So I want to ask the sister Amer. We here in the West, especially on about Europe, we see how big the lobby or the APAC funding is in the governmental system in the US. How has that impacted the policies? Now, for example, we were told if you criticize Israel or you say you're anti-Semitic, you are, somebody who is promoting hatred towards the Israeli or the Jewish communities in the US. How has that affected the role of the media and also the governmental system about APAC and how it's been funding the government? Umar, would you like to share your thoughts on that? That'd be great.
Okay, well, APAC, I can't stand it. But okay. So as far as the media goes, there is a huge bias in the United States as of right now. Like anything you say against APAC, anything you say against Israel, anything you say against, I don't want to say it, but the little hat people, they're cracking down on what's the right word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm having a moment. They are becoming more strict about repercussions that things that people are facing when speaking out against it. For example, people are losing their jobs. People are, some people are even, it's gone to the extent of becoming labeled domestic teas or domestic terrorists based on certain views that they choose to speak out against in the U.S. And it's becoming more and more apparent. I hate to say this and it sounds kind of bad, but I feel like it starts to get really bad when you notice that white people are becoming affected by it and being punished for it. And now we're seeing that it's not just black and brown people. As far as the media goes, the media is 100% biased. You can't trust anything on any mainstream media here in the United States. A lot of the younger generation, fortunately, are no longer looking to Fox News or CNN or these other outlets because they're all supporters of what's going on in one way or another, or they're supporting in a way where they're not speaking against it, or they are propagandizing things, and they're trying to push a certain narrative into our society. Yeah, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Do you see like a wave of change, even looking at the situation that's happening in Palestine, in Gaza? Do you think the American, even though the media, I can understand they're not really like supporting or reporting as much, but do you think there's a bit of the tide is slightly turning to kind of like, instead of promoting Israel, now actually pointing fingers at Israel because how they have continued this genocide for nearly over 2 years now? Is there a tide, do you think?
Definitely, especially in the younger generation. I would say the millennials for sure, the Gen Zs. There is definitely a large number of support against what's the Israeli government and APAC and what's going on in the Middle East and other areas of the world with the United States government. But as much as we see a shift in the way people's ideological views go, we are seeing an increase in shift of propaganda to try to reel people back in. So there's poor reports coming out of, massive funding to try to, I guess, reprogram, quote unquote, the way the citizens are kind of turning to try to reel them back in a little bit. And we see a lot of this by, again, censoring what people are saying, cracking down and becoming more strict on punishing people for going out and protesting, lack of coverage of people protesting against certain things. Like if they will not cover somebody, the crowds of people who were protesting against what's going on in Israel and with APAC and all these other things. Another thing that I've noticed and that a lot of other people have noticed is we're getting a lot more commercialized propaganda to try to, again, like I said, redirect the way people are thinking. So now you see a lot of, commercials, for example, about how bad the Palestinian people are and, how bad the Israeli people have been treated by the Palestinians and how these people need to be stopped. And they it's really weird, but there is a huge growing number of people who are against it. But as much as we see that, there's the government is definitely trying to counter that in a few different ways.
Yeah, that is very fascinating. Also, the aspects of social media and how particular foreign governments are buying out media, social media platforms. Is that affecting also the contribution of the truth being shared with the younger generation? Of course, you said the T word. Of course, on YouTube, they're a bit more lenient now. You can't say the term terrorist or unaliving or killing. And we know on TikTok, there's certain phrases you can't use. Otherwise, you're going to get a restriction.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, I have some social media platforms and, some that were recently bought out by, the US. And there is a huge difference. I'm going to tell you before, on my FYP, every time I open it up, I would see a video in support of the Palestinian cause. I promise you, ever since it's brought out, I have not gotten not one video of, on my FYP when just scrolling of anything in support of the Palestinian cause. The only time I see it now is if I actively search it. So, yeah, there's definitely censorization happening.
Okay, I really appreciate your input. I really do. Jazakumullah khair. Brother Yusuf, I know I'm looking at the time also. It's just gone 1 hour. Time goes so quick when you're having fun. Would we like to touch on the aspects of ICE and, the impact they having on the citizens of the US? And Ahmed, feel free to, talk as much as you like and freely about the situation when it comes to ICE and, the immigration laws that are taking place all over the US. And Minnesota is being highlighted because of the shootings. We got people who are American citizens who are being shot dead for no apparent reason. And how of an impact has that had across the US or an area where you live? Have you seen anything like that or similar to those type of interactions with ICE agents and members of the public?
So it's actually interesting you bring that up. I live in what they call the Deep South. I have seen ICE trucks driving around, and I recently read a report about 68 children that were taken into custody by ICE agents in my state alone. It's very much racially motivated. As in, it's majority, it's no way around it. You are being targeted based on racial profiling majority of the time. I think that white people have gotten caught in the crossfires of it, which is, causing a little bit more people to wake up and say, okay, this is really, getting a little out of hand. It's kind of sad because, me as an American citizen, I'm born here. My parents are born here. My grandparents are born here. No Middle Eastern blood, no foreign, this is my country. I've gotten to the point where I'm carrying my birth certificate. And, I've been told this by other people, carry your birth certificate with you wherever you go, carry your child's birth certificate. But they're even saying sometimes they're taking people in, American citizens with birth certificates that I've heard, that are still being detained. They have released them, but the fact that they even showed them their birth certificate and are being detained for a little while is problematic. And I've been hearing about, checkpoints, and when in history do we remember when somebody would randomly choose people based on what they look like and ask them to show their ID to prove what they are? We all remember that Schmittler.
Well, even recent, because Brother Yusuf is from South Africa, and of course they had the apartheid there,
Yes.
and I'm sure that was, just as bad. So, Brother Yusuf, I can see the similar kind of mirror effects of, apartheid and what's happening right now in America, with the ICE agents and stuff. They're all masked up. They're like thugs, they're like gang members, and you see slowly them pushing the boundaries. Whereas, fair enough, you detain somebody, you might rough them up a bit. Now, people are civilians and members of the population are being shot dead, and people are live streaming this, and it doesn't seem to deter these thugs and these these ICE agents from stopping to what they are acting out. So yeah, how would you feel being from South Africa, experiencing or being involved in the apartheid, and can you see a similar kind of move when it comes to the US and the ICE agents?
Look, I mean, I just came in now because my laptop was strangely heating up. The ICE agents, from my perspective, are more closely, in my opinion, similar to the Gestapo. I mean, in South African society, there was in the early parts of the mid 20th century, black people to work in the major cities had to produce what they call a DOMPAS, the DOMPAS laws. But and of course they were basically at times arrested if they were unable to produce it. But what you've got here clearly is a situation where this is a community that effectively, for example, it's a Gestapo. It's basically Trump's Gestapo. We never had the brazen kind, as bad as apartheid South Africa was and as bad as the apartheid police was. We've never had the kind of brazen, abusive form of confrontation that you see amongst these ICE agents that is basically happening. So if you look at the aspect of Renee Good in it's quite clearly that she was shot in cold blood. Or, for example, instances in where people are dragging individuals out of their cars. These are middle-class citizens. That never happened in apartheid South Africa. So I'll just share something with you here, and I want you to give you an example in terms of what is happening and this just takes us slightly away from Epstein, but we'll tie it up in terms of what's happened recently over the past couple of weeks in Minneapolis. I mean, this is, for example, where people are being dragged out of cars. Whoa. Now, have a look at this.
What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
The adverts, yeah.
Guys,
I can't help this.
Nina just built
advert. Here we are. Now, this is in Minneapolis. Check this here. Now, they're dragging people out of cars. These are middle-class citizens.
Force is not law.
You'll see what happens.
Force is not law. You are not following the law.
She's trying to drive off. And there's a child in the back. And you see the whistling and the drums because of this is how they drag. This is a lady. This is a lady. And these are males. So look how they pick her up. Look how they pick her up. Unmasked men, Gestapo. just simply drag people out of cars. This is someone else. They're dragging someone else. This is someone else that's come out here. Now they got someone else that's dragging out of the car. They're just dragging people out of vehicles. The guy's already defecated in his pants by the looks of it. Look at him. We've never had this in South Africa. These are Nazi fascist Gestapo police of Trump. And again, you know, the legs on the neck. The legs on the neck. On the carotid artery. Look at this case here. An old man. Drag someone else in the old man. It's an elderly guy. Look at this. So I mean, it's essentially, you know,
I just want to highlight this comment, Brother Yusuf, and I'd love to get some feedback from yourself and
but before I show you, look at
I can give my customers more ways to pay.
Go ahead, Mohammed. I just wanted to show you, this was an amusing situation where this guy taunts. He's just playing around, fooling around with it. It's quite amusing. And he goes in front of them and says he's not a US citizen. Now watch this. And so he's taunting them and he's teasing them.
No! Yes! No! Yes!
So he picks his phone up. And now they... So nobody takes these people seriously is what I'm saying. I mean, these are scoundrels, scumbags. Nobody takes ICE seriously. And, you know, our good friend Mamdani has signed an executive order on sanctuary laws in New York City calling for a total abolition of ICE completely.
I just want to highlight this comment, and I'd love to get Ahmed to kind of like respond to it, and if it makes any sense. So Sister Sandra has mentioned that when you are told to step out the car, you should do it.
Listen, I saw the comment and I literally was about to type something, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm an American. If I've gotten pulled over many times. If somebody tells me get out the car, my first reaction is to question why. I'm not going to just, oh yeah, let me get out the car, you know, because I definitely did something. No, you need to tell me why you got out the car. You want to search my car? You need to have a warrant. You need to tell me why. You need to have probable cause. No, the Sandra lady, I don't understand, you know, that's maybe her prerogative, but majority of people, majority of Americans, I think our first reaction is going to be to question, why are you doing this? Because just because you are in a position of authority, there is a limitation to what you can do here legally. You can't just walk into my house if you want to. You have to have a warrant. You have to have something signed by a judge. You can't just tell me I'm going to search your car. You can't just tell me I'm going to, you know, you need to get out your car. You need to put your hands on whatever. No, you need to let me know what's going on. Me personally, if somebody said, get out your car, I'm going to question it. I'm not just getting out.
What was the comment there on the screen? Because that guy got the facts totally legally wrong. What was the comment on the screen, Mohammed, that you just had posted.
It was something along the
When
line.
you are told to step out of the car, you do it. Rubbish. They picked her up because she refused to walk. In South Africa, if a metro police tells you to get out of the car, that nobody has got the right to search your vehicle without any kind of probable cause. Get your facts clear, Petunia. And ICE basically operating in areas where they've got no jurisdiction. For example, they're operating in the New York subways. That's the New York Police Department. But they're outside the federal line. They're not supposed to be operating in those areas. So when you are told to step out of the car, there's no probable cause that you can basically illustrate for him to get out of the car. And this is a situation, they're not telling them to get out of the car. They're not telling them to get out of the car. You have a situation with this guy, what's his name? Merritt, the guy that they killed. He came to the assistance of a woman. He came to the assistance of a woman. And what then subsequently happened is that when he assisted her, when he basically tried to get her down, they pounced on him. They removed the firearm from him. They shot him 9 times. These bastard agents shot the man 9 times. You're going beyond the realms of self-defense. There's no self-defense there. What was the justification for the scumbag Gestapo police of Trump murdering someone in cold blood? As much as your sick Western propaganda can want to justify it, and by the way, even CNN and NBC and PBS are speaking out against it. It's only rag stations like Fox News and other scoundrel networks that are basically coming up with this kind of garbage, making kinds of justification that they were acting in self-defense. When you remove the firearm from someone's hand, he's no longer a danger. But in any event, in terms of your laws, not South African laws, your laws, doesn't the Second Amendment allow you to own firearms in your country? Doesn't it allow you to basically bear arms? Is there any ruling which states you can't, if you're a licensed firearm holder, you can't walk in any particular area? So what was the justification for murdering him? What was the justification for murdering the lady? Because it's quite clear that she was trying to escape and he shot her through the windscreen. He moved out of the way of the vehicle. But if the argument is he was acting in self-defense, why did he shoot her twice in the head? Where's the self-defense that she was unarmed? She was not attacking anyone. She had already been shot once. Why did he shoot her twice in the side of the head? What's your justification? I want this guy to come on. Who is this guy that's having a lot to say? He's having a big mouth.
Yeah, of course, we know who it is. It's Sandra.
Come on and let's debate. If you want to debate the law with me, come on and debate. Come and debate.
She also mentioned.
Come on and debate.
She also mentioned. Let me just highlight this. You don't need a warrant to request someone to get out the car. So
I'll have to check the laws up in America. In South Africa, you clearly do.
You do. I do
you
not.
Need a warrant. On what basis?
I'm going to tell you right now. Tell me if a cop came to. I'm telling you right now. If
Let's
a cop
pick this up.
They're not going to say get out of the car unless there's a reason. I want to know why you're telling me to get out of my car. You're not going to just tell me to get out my car. Now, what Sandra is she's one of those white supremacists who want people to say, just do what I say, and just keep your mouth shut. Just keep your head down. No, this is my country. This is your country. And you should be afraid of what's going on, because what's happening to them is they're racially profiled, and they're not just targeting black and brown people, as we can see. They're targeting white people too. And what they're doing is illegal. Is a bunch of armed, masked men who are literally harassing people and killing people without any reason. And you think that this is okay and this is normal. This is not normal in any society.
Yes, this will shut down everything. Here we are.
And we know.
ICE agents.
Yeah. Brother Yusuf, I just want to, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know Sandra's been on this channel numerous times, and she's always defending, the Zionist regime and Israel.
Who is this person?
So, Sandra, of course, she's a Christian, a hardcore Christian.
Sandra on. Sandra, can you come on the stream?
She's going to
come on the stream and join us.
She's got to get
when does getting a traffic ticket ever warrant you getting out of the car? I've gotten tickets before. Never, there's no reason to get out of the car. Okay, you pass a red light, you pull over, he gives you your ticket, you move on. Period. That's it. Why would he tell me to get out the car? Get out the car, pat me down for what? And who are they doing this to, Sandra? Tell me, are they doing it to the mostly white people? No. So this is where
Here
you're
are the
coming
key
from.
takeaways I've picked up in terms. Most ICE warrants that supposedly are come are administrative in nature, signed by an ICE official, not judicial, which is needed to be signed by a judge or a magistrate for that particular matter, or in the lower court, you call them judges in the United States. According to the legal resources like the National Immigration Law Center, you do not have to open your door or your car door unless ICE produces a warrant signed by a judge or a court. If ICE agents enter a home without consent or a proper warrant, do not physically resist, but clearly state that you do not consent.
I told you that
So
what they're doing
let's basically
is
look at the legal resources. The National Immigration Law Center basically states about knowing your rights. What is a warrant? A warrant is an official document for a court or a government agency. It lets law enforcement do something like search inside a private space or a vehicle for something or arrest somebody. In most instances where it comes to personal liberties, you need a judicial warrant. ICE does not produce judicial warrants. They only come up with administrative warrants. So effectively, and in many instances, they're not even coming up with warrants. We don't even see administrative warrants. So for example, I want to ask this lady, what was the justification? What was the guy's name? I forget his name, the guy that they shot 9 times. What was the justification for beating him up, pepper spraying him, removing his firearm, and then shooting him 9 times? You need a warrant for that? You need, or you can just do that willy-nilly. Or do you need a warrant in any event do you need a warrant for committing cold-blooded murder? Do you need a warrant for that? This is the point. When do immigration officers not need a warrant? The law says immigration can only arrest or take someone without a warrant in very few situations. Before arresting someone without a warrant, federal law requires immigration to be able to prove that the person is in the United States illegally and that the person is likely to escape before officers can get a warrant. Under the law, the individuals need a warrant, and they need to show, if the warrant doesn't exist, that this person is likely to escape and that there's probable cause to show that he's in the United States illegally. What do they have? What do these officers basically have? No matter where immigration stops someone, the rule above applies. Immigration officers cannot arrest someone without a warrant unless they have probable cause that they are in the United States without a permission, are about to commit a terrorist act, and that they are likely to flee before a warrant can be written. How do you prove any of that? Explain that to us, Petunia. How on earth do you prove any of that? What are your rights when ICE officers show up? At home, you do not have to open the door. In the car, you do not have to come out of the car. Even opening it a little can count as giving permission for officers to come in. Say loudly and clearly, I do not consent to you entering my house. I do not consent to you entering my vehicle. If they want to come in, ask to see a warrant. They can show it through a window or a peephole or slide it under the door. If it's not a judicial warrant, they can't enter without your permission.
Okay,
if they have a warrant that allows them to enter, use your right to remain silent.
Backstage now. Sandra's backstage, so we're gonna
come in, Sandra. Come in, Sandra, and talk to us, because this is a law, and you're attempting to find justification for cold-blooded murder. That's what I want to.
No,
firstly,
not.
No, that's what you've done. You're making. You have a situation where ICE is engaged in clearly 2 cases of cold-blooded murder, and you are now attempting to make justifications of them in relation to coming out of a vehicle without a warrant or entering your house without a warrant. In all cases, they need a judicial warrant or without probable cause.
Yeah, Brother Yusuf, we're gonna give it ample time to kind of like
maybe explain your position to us,
man. All I was trying to say is y'all, when I came in, y'all were sitting there talking about how, that they were dragging her and picking her up and all this kind of stuff. But these protesters, they do it all the time when they are like when they're about to be detained or arrested or whatever. They like to lay on the ground and be picked up. They refuse to walk. So what do? They pick them up, load them in the car. They do it all the time. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Just leave her laying there on the ground?
Well, first of all, they shouldn't have been. The majority of the time, they're picking people up and picking people out. They shouldn't be picking people up or picking them out to begin with. I'm going to start there. They are.
I don't understand what you mean by that. When there's a situation going on and the officers are there to take care of it, there are a few rules that you have to follow, or it's called resisting.
Well, when they're resisting illegal detainment. They are illegally detaining people and categorizing, picking people out.
Can you tell me how it's illegal to detain
them? Excuse me?
Can you tell me how it's illegal to detain someone for questioning? How
You can't detain. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you answering her properly. But let me just cut to the chase, ma'am. You cannot detain someone illegally for questioning without probable cause. That's a rule in any part of the world.
Yeah,
that is a rule in any part of the world unless the United States is operating under Gestapo.
No. I understand probable cause.
You've got the scumbag called Trump running a Nazi. Okay, I want to show you something. Mama, share the screen. This is a lady before she's getting shot, Renee Good. Mama, can you just put this on the screen here? This is just before she was shot dead.
I saw this from every
and the
angle.
reason I'm coming out harsh is because you're justifying cold-blooded murder. So here's the situation.
I did not do that.
Lady Renee Good.
You weren't even talking about this situation when I came in.
I want you to look at this. Have a look at this. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Right.
So
passing by.
we have seen that video.
She passes by and
we
she
don't know
shoots
where
her twice in the head.
Came from. I mean, this is from a cell phone.
How do you justify that?
You've got to be fair.
Let's get it clear. Let me just show you this. I want you to comment. Here's a clear. Here is the image.
You've got to be fair.
Here's the image. Here's the image. Here's the image. Here's the image.
What image?
Now he shot her twice. He shot her twice in the head. Was he liable? Was he wrong to shoot her? Or was he not wrong to shoot her?
Did you watch the video from start to finish?
Sorry, you're muffled. I can't hear you clearly, and there's a lot of sound here. I want you to address the situation of Renee Good. Can you address that?
I'm trying to. Did you watch the video from start to finish from every angle of what?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Did you see that cop had milliseconds to make a decision, and the car ended up hitting him? You know that he did get hit by it.
First of all, cops are
hit him in the leg.
You are lying because the
it hit him in the leg.
Let me answer the question. There's 2 points you're making. The first point is that she attempted to drive off, right?
Okay.
When she attempted to drive off, he shot her in the windscreen. Then he was at a situation where he was next to her driver's window, and he shot her twice in the head. Is that self-defense according to you?
I'm going to say something first off. Okay, because I watched it from every angle, and then I went a little further, and I said, okay, well, let me see how cops are trained. They are not trained to step in front of a vehicle and then say, oh, this vehicle is a weapon, so let me shoot somebody. That is what happened.
He didn't intentionally step in front of the car. He was there already.
How did he
intentionally attempt to kill him?
Front of a car? He intentionally walked in front of a car. Nobody transported him there. Nobody pushed him there.
He happened to be standing in that spot.
He just happened to walk in front of her vehicle because he wasn't.
I never saw an image of him placing himself in front of the car.
But how did he get in front of the vehicle?
Because that's just where he happened to be standing.
He placed himself in front of the vehicle.
He just happened to appear there out of thin air.
How did he come there?
Guys, look. I'm trying not to complicate this. I'm trying to make it simple.
I'm making it simple.
But you're not making it simple.
The gas. He had milliseconds to decide what
Explain
to do.
to me. Okay, let's
He
assume.
didn't have
Let's assume,
time to
let's
think.
assume I give you that. Let's
It was
assume I
either
give you that
me
he walked in.
or the guard.
What was the justification for shooting her in the head by the side window? Explain that. Is that self-defense?
I'll
in
have
terms
to
of
look at
any
that
legal
again.
system?
Before I
I-
make a
Sorry?
comment on that, I'll have to
But
look
if
at it again.
But
Do
if
you
you
No,
have
there's
any
nothing to
footage?
look at. That's that. No,
Do you
no.
have
Now
any
you're
footage?
running away.
Let me
Now
tell
you are running away. I caught you
No,
up
no,
and you're running
no.
away.
Show me the footage where
I'm
he's firing into the side window.
I'm
Do
gonna
you have it?
Picture.
I'm gonna make this simple, okay, Petunia.
Yes, sure.
If I were to walk in front of your vehicle and then shoot you and then say you were using that vehicle as a weapon against me, do you think that is right?
She punched the gas.
If
He
I
didn't know.
walked
For
in
all she knew, he was coming. She was coming for him. He
Listen
didn't have
to
time
the
to
question.
think.
Listen to the question, because I know for a fact that that cops are taught not to place themselves in front of a vehicle. I know this because I did the research on it. So if I were to place myself in front of a vehicle and then point a gun at you and shoot you because I say that you were using the vehicle against me, do you think that is right?
Show me the bullet holes in the sides of the window, not the front windshield.
Oh,
Show
that
me the evidence.
Here's
That
a chair. Here's a chair. I'll show it to you here. Here's a chair. I'm gonna share this with this lady. Here's a chair. This is a slow. This is a slow. There's he there. Can you see that?
All right, let me look.
Can you see that? Can you see that window? He's shooting her there as she's driving off. He shoots her. Can you see
Wait
that?
a minute. That's not the same guy. If you'll notice, the guy in the front is the one
And
that
he
was
shoots
shooting,
her. But look at
not,
it slow. Look
not
at
the
it
guy
slow
on the
motion.
side.
He shoots her. Look at it there.
So to do that,
Look at it there.
Yeah,
He
through
shoots
her
her
front
twice.
windshield.
An attorney, but first,
Not
That's
the
the first.
side.
He was shot in the front windshield once, and twice in the
There
side
wasn't a single
mirror, in the
bullet
side
hole
window.
in the side of the
In
window.
the side
not
window,
one.
he was shot. Side window, she was shot twice. Now, my question is, if you are saying
Show me
that
the
he was
bullet holes in
justified
that
in
side
shooting her
window.
from the front window, if you are saying he was justified in shooting her from the front as she was driving into him, what was his
My
justification?
father
for
was a
shooting her in the
detective,
head
and I
twice?
was trained to ask questions. Get the
No,
details.
no, you're justifying mass murder. Okay, my other question to you is, since you can't explain and running away from that, what's the justification of shooting Alex Preddy 9 times?
Now that I have no idea because I haven't even seen footage.
No,
of
you
it.
see, when
So
you
I
can't
can't
answer
say.
a question, you have no
I
idea.
can't make a comment.
But when you can't answer a question, you have no idea. But when you slightly come across something that you believe is favorable to ICE, you then have an idea. So how is it you made up a determination
It's just
of
nothing to
self-defense
me one
on
way or
something
the
that
other.
you didn't know, but something which is clear-cut, cold-blooded murder, you say you've got no idea.
I'm
How
just
do you
an
explain the
outsider
duplicity of
looking
double
in.
standards?
ICE means nothing to me one way or the other.
Can I ask?
No, it is because you came on this platform and attempted to justify essentially the killing of both Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
I would like to ask Petunia a genuine question. Okay.
Sure.
Petunia, when it comes to these ICE agents profiling people, what do you think is a good legal criteria for profiling someone to ask them for their proof of citizenship?
To ask them for their citizenship?
Yes, because they are randomly asking people to prove that they are American citizens. What is a good
This is what's actually happening.
Yes, they are asking people to show your proof of citizenship. This is how American citizens have been arrested. So tell me, what is a good way of profiling for this? What would you say?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. Okay, so then it shouldn't be happening, period.
See, I'm as honest as I can possibly be, and I'm not a racist. I'm not a white supremacist or anything, whatever the freak that is. I'm not one of those people.
Why are you defending white supremacists?
I'm just a regular old country girl. That's all I am.
Okay,
why are you defending white supremacist Gestapo officers? Like, look at this. I want to show this, Mohammed. This is a video from various angles of Alex Preddy. Just put this up. I want your comment, ma'am, on this. I want your comment. So this is what ICE does. Go to the they push a lady.
Wait.
They beat up a lady. Have a look at this.
Pepper sprayed
They push her.
by an
Then
officer
they
while
pepper
holding
spray
his
Alex
phone
Preddy. Can
and
you
is
see
then
that? They
wrestled
pepper
to the
spray him.
ground.
Then they put
DHS
him in
said
the
he
ground
brandished a
and
weapon,
I
but
wish
they
you could
don't
can you
There's
run
no
that
weapon.
back one more time?
An agent appearing to remove
I don't mean to be difficult, but I want to see that again.
I want you to see,
by an officer while holding his phone and
okay,
his phone
there's
to the
two
ground.
here.
Let's go back.
Shot
Let's
from
go back.
various
Can you
angles
just pause it? Can you just pause it? Yeah, just take the
Who was
volume
that
down.
pushing?
That's it. That's perfect.
So they push. Look who ICE does. They push a lady like you. I just want to go through this. Yeah. So they push a lady. That's a lady they push.
See, that's wrong. I think that's terrible.
Then Alex. That's Alex. Then Alex is there. He's being pepper sprayed and he's got a phone. Then they drag him to the ground.
Okay.
Can you see that? They
I'm
drag
looking.
him to the ground. Then now watch what happens. He's got nothing. But then an agent appears to remove the gun from the waistband. Then they remove the gun and then they shoot him 9 times.
Okay, that's not cool. That's not cool. My dad would never have done that. Ever.
Well, we never know. Maybe your dad would have done that. You don't know.
No, my dad wouldn't have done that because he was an honorable man.
Well, your dad comes from the American South, so maybe he would have done that. Who knows? Maybe
You
he
know
would have
what?
been involved in the slave trade.
You
He would have been
talking
involved in
about
the
my
slave trade that he was
deceased
born in the
father that
19th
you
century.
did not even know? Who in the hell do you think you are?
Did your dad protest against the Vietnam War?
I was a
Did your dad
baby. I had
protest
no
against the
idea.
Vietnam War? Did he?
I was a
If he
baby.
didn't, that
I
means
had
he's
no
part and
idea.
parcel of the system. He supports cold-blooded murder. Did your dad protest for the civil? Did your dad protest for Martin Luther King when he was assassinated?
Muhammad, are you
Did your
going to
dad
allow
protest for
him
Malcolm
to
X?
defame my
When
family
Malcolm
like
X was
this?
assassinated, when Martin Luther King was assassinated by the FBI, did your dad come out and protest? Did your dad support the civil rights movement? So if you're saying your dad didn't do
My
that,
dad
we don't
was
know,
on the
because your
scene
dad never
immediately
supported
when
the
it
civil rights
happened.
movement. He comes from the American South. If his daughter, that is you, the good lady, is defending cold-blooded mass murder on the screens right now, why would your dad basically be any different?
To be fair,
Because you're profiling people, and y'all are accusing everybody
Okay,
else
let me
of
ask you this.
profiling.
Let
Just
me
because
ask
my
you this.
dad
You
was
support
a
Israel?
Southern
Will you
police
condemn
you
Israel?
lumped him in a group of people that I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, will
You're
you condemn
guilty
Israel
of the
for what it's
same
done?
thing you accuse others of.
Will you condemn Israel for its genocide?
I'm going to tell you something, okay? Okay, because I'm going to describe myself to you. I'm a half Black American Muslim that's from the North living in the South, okay?
Fabulous.
Yes, fabulous. And I'm an American. Been here for generations, my family. And I'm going to you right now, and I don't, it's going to hurt your feelings, but people like you are the problem.
Like me.
Yes.
Are you profiling?
I'm talking about
That's racist.
What?
Your
You're racial profiling.
Your ideology. Your ideology.
See?
Your ideology.
You can dish that stuff out, but you can't take it when it's hurled right back at you.
It's thrown at me every day. Okay.
Well, quit being a racist.
Who said I'm racist? I'm half Black.
You are a racist. You called me a white supremacist, and we've never met.
Because of your ideology.
That's racism.
Big
time. In its purest form.
You sitting here defending people that are racially profiling people and murdering people. What else should I call you? A neo-Nazi?
You should call me a human being first and find out where I'm coming from next. That's what you do.
Animals aren't racist. Your people are racist. So that's without saying. We know you're human.
Ma'am, I have nothing against you whatsoever. I don't know you or anything like this, but please, I'm just asking you, do not accuse people of racial profiling when you damn well do it yourself.
I'm telling you right now, I asked you earlier today because these are masked men who are racially profiling people to determine whether or not they're going to pick them out if they're, to question them about their citizenship. Do you think they're going to be randomly picking out white hair, blonde hair, blue-eyed people to ask them if they're citizens? Majority of the time? And this is an honest question.
Ma'am.
Just say yes. Do you think that majority of the people that they are going to ask, are you a U.S. citizen? Are they going to be blonde hair, blue-eyed people with light skin? Yes or no?
They don't come after you unless they have probable cause.
Then How have American citizens been targeted if they have probable cause? How have American
I would have to, you know what, seriously, I would have to look at that on a case-by-case basis because, I mean, I can't imagine them walking up just to a total stranger, no reason, hey, are you an American citizen? That's stupid.
There is no there's no justified reason why American citizens have ended up in detention camps or being detained. Why is that happening? Because they are racially profiling people.
This ain't got nothing to do with race. It has to do with trying to protect our country from enemies that would love to see us go down.
I'm going to tell you
that's what it's about.
Never going to go down by an outsider. This country is going to go down because of the people within this own country. And I'm telling you that's a fact. Our own people will be our demise, not somebody else. People like you.
People like me? There you go again. Are you all for open borders?
She said people like you because you defended 2 cases of cold-blooded murder.
I did not.
What do we call you?
I never once said, "Hey, that was right." That was right. I never said it.
People like you are people who see a problem and want to brush it under the rug for whatever reason you have. I don't care what the reason you have is. But the fact
I think everything should be thoroughly investigated. Even the police officers. Look, I know also very well that there are good cops and there are bad cops, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
We want to get rid of ICE and get rid of Trump as well at the same time, because he's been a menace. He's supported the genocide in Gaza. He's caused havoc and chaos throughout the world. Your economy is essentially in tatters. He's basically imposed tariffs on every other nation of the world. He wants to take over Greenland. He's a narcissistic, pedophile, psychopath. How could we support such people? I mean, the problem that I've got with you, Petunia, is you seem to be a innocent but misguided lady. Why would you be supporting pedophiles in power committing acts of atrocities and sending their Gestapo forces in targeting your own fellow American citizens and then justify it on the basis of a rule of law? How do you basically justify such disingenuous conduct?
You do.
Well, why would you support such pedophiles in power?
Oh, I don't know nothing about all that.
Well, we just discussed Epstein files. Epstein files is that Trump,
from that crap as I possibly
but
can.
people like Trump and those within the establishment, both within the celebrity world and the political establishment, were having sex with minor girls. These are the particular types of people that are imposing rules on American society. These are the people that have unleashed the ICE agents and this Gestapo police force on American citizens. How could you even try and find justification?
I just want to add something, Yusuf. I know, mashallah, you're doing a fantastic job, but these are the same Christian fundamentalists that point the fingers of the Prophet, peace be upon him, regarding his marriage to Aisha. And now when you ask her about these figures in the American government who are so-called Christians, she doesn't know nothing about them. So why are you having let me finish. Okay. Previously, when you've come on this channel, we spoke about the Palestinian the genocide that's taking place. You were always supporting the other side. There's never been a time when you said, you know what, I can kind of like sympathize with the struggles of the people of Palestine. You've always pointed the finger.
I could say something to that, but I'm not gonna do it.
Why don't you condemn Israel for the satanic regime it is? That's all we're asking for. Condemn it, disassociate from it. It's killing children. It's raping women in custody. They're raping Palestinian women. How could a woman like you support the rape of other women? How could a woman like you support the mass murder of other women?
I don't like any type of injustice.
So then
no
condemn
matter
Israel. Speak now
who's
openly, and we'll support you that it's a satanic, sadistic regime which has no right to exist. Say it openly, and we'll back you up. That Israel has no right to exist. Say it.
Well, wait. As you what? You mean as a nation?
As a nation, Israel, as an apartheid state and as an illegitimate state, it has no right to exist. It has to be disbanded.
Why does it have no right to exist?
Because number one, it's an apartheid state. Number two, it's engaged in illegal occupation for the past 6 or
Arabs
7
and
years.
Muslims work
Number
together
four,
inside
number
of
three,
Israel?
Number three,
They own
Human Rights
shops,
Watch,
they vote,
Amnesty International, and the
they
International Court of Justice have stated
got
that
members,
there's a plausible case
got
that
Arabs and
Israel
the
is
members
committing
of
genocide.
Knesset.
What,
But not
any
apartheid.
nation,
That's not what apartheid
any
The
looks
problem
like.
is you're speaking over each
any
other.
nation,
So
any
you're speaking
nation,
over
any
each other.
nation that
So
murders children, any nation that murders children and authorizes sanguinary warfare and gang rape of Palestinian women seizes the right to exist. Any nation that commits atrocities against children and journalists and minor babies and rapes them seizes the right to exist. You can't allow such a nation to exist. It's a curse on society. It's a curse on humanity. It's a satanic nation. It's a sadistic nation. It's an evil nation. So how can you support such sort of sanguinary warfare and mass atrocities and then claim that it has a right to exist? It has no right to exist. And I'll say this if I come to the United States.
Yusuf, we have to let her respond. We have to give her ample time to respond.
go
So
and
please,
respond,
guys, don't cut her off because we want to hear it from Sandra. We spoke about the situation in Palestine for the last 2 years. She wasn't,
Look,
condemning
I
that.
have nothing against y'all at all.
So
I still like you. But here's the deal. I got a question for you now. Should Iran exist?
Sorry?
Should Iran exist?
You're not going to respond to brother.
Yes.
1 second, Yusuf. You're not going to respond to what Brother Yusuf or Umair said. So, because Umair is actually living in the US. So,
Does Iran have a right to exist when it executes 30,000 of its own people?
Dude, do you want me to talk about what America's done?
30,000.
Again, where's the evidence of 30,000 people being killed?
How many people?
No, you answered my question by asking a question.
Yusuf, we're going to let Umair, I know, brother.
Just saying, if you're
Umair,
gonna,
feel free to talk.
I'm sorry.
Let's
The
do this.
echoes are just too much.
Let's be consistent here.
Okay.
Should Iran exist? Or, no, wait a minute. A better way of asking it, should the IRGC exist?
Girl.
Who are you questioning? Who are you asking?
Yusuf.
So, Mohammed, can I respond?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Firstly, if you look at what's happened in Iran, there's no credible news source. Let me respond to it. There's absolutely no credible news source which states that 30,000 Iranians have basically been executed. That's not happened. There's no such case.
Let me ask you something.
And wait, and you will never be, and you will not be able to, and you will not be, listen, and you will not be able to bring me a single credible news source. I'm saying this is a fact. I'm teaching you. There's no, what the figures have, what the mainstream media sources have given, at least those that are there, because Iran hasn't made, and they're basing it on Iranian figures, is that there are approximately about 4,000 people have been killed. However, amongst the 4,000 protesters that have been killed, some of those protesters were Mossad agents. Some of those protesters were involved in desecration of schools. Some of those protesters were burning teachers alive, and some law enforcement officials alive.
The protesters were burning teachers alive?
The situation is not the same. You don't have a situation where Iran has now gone out and you see, here's the difference. Iran, unlike Israel, has not engaged, for example, in systematic shooting of the head of children or gang raping women. That hasn't happened, at least in this particular. There's certainly human rights violations that you could say in terms of, for example, civil liberties.
I'm just glad you said that.
Look, you can question the issue of civil liberties. I have no problem. Iran's not a saint. Most of these Arab nations and states are not saints. I don't have a problem with that. But they haven't engaged in the level of atrocities and on the scale of atrocities that Israel has basically engaged in, where, according to Bet Selem, they've gang raped Palestinian women and children as young as 11 in the Israeli detention camps and have shot Palestinian children in the head. I mean, over the past 2 years, Sorry?
I will fact check that. I will look that up.
You will fact check that. We've been saying this for 2 years. What are you talking about fact checking us? We've been presenting this information for 2 years, non-stop. We've shown you some
Brother
images.
Yusuf, we're going to let Sandra respond. Let Sandra respond.
It's okay. Let him talk.
No, because we got to be fair. And Sandra, I'm always fair on this platform. So
you've always been good to me, no matter how mad you get.
Of course, yeah. So this is why we always have you on the show, because we do respect you. You're one of our elders. So, and you may hold a different opinion, but at the same time, we're going to have a back and forth. So I want you to respond to what Brother Yusuf said. But Brother Yusuf, after you, I want Sister Umair to mention something, because she's in the States, so she's experienced.
Can I just apologize, Mohammed? Can I just apologize? I didn't know that Sandra was an elderly senior. If I was too harsh with her,
it's okay. It don't matter. I can take
it. I thought you were probably in your 30s or 40s. I apologize. No. I didn't know you were a senior citizen. But I want to apologize, and I will moderate my tone.
I can take
communication. I really apologize for that.
I appreciate that. I can take it. I've had my butt kicked before, so.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. And whilst Mohammed,
I was just gonna say, when we start talking about atrocities and stuff like that, we had better be consistent, because there's a lot of atrocities going on. I could even speak about the Nigerians in northern Nigeria that are being just slaughtered wholesale and everything. That's horrific. They take them and they get them in the churches, they lock all the doors and set the thing on fire with everybody in it. They take down towns, villages.
It just seems like we've gone off topic, because you mentioned
Iran.
We have. So Brother Yusuf mentioned about Iran. A lot of this is propaganda. A lot of it's, even in the UK, we are getting reports from the BBC and other media outlets that a lot of these are Mossad agents provoking the government, and that's quite rampant, and we hear it all the time in the UK. So I really would like you. Like Umair is actually the sister, as you can see there, who's next to you at the bottom. She's a born American. So we would love to kind of understand your thought process, and then Umair's thought process, because for the last 2.5 years, every time we did a show regarding the Palestinian issue, you would always look the other way. And for us, that was quite outstanding. And sometimes we're feeling unease, because what we're seeing, you don't seem to see that. So I don't know if it's just you or what is being given on the media, because the sister who is next to you, like I said, she sees a different point of view. So I'd love to, for you to kind of have a nice discussion, if that's all right with Brother Yusuf, and then hopefully we can move forward with that.
Of course.
Okay. So what would y'all like to
well, Mohammed, if since she's asking what would I like, could you share this on the screen, and then maybe Umair and this is what I wanted you possibly to discuss with her. Maybe I could just kick this out, and then both of you could discuss. This is, in 2024, both Mohammed and I discussed, just to provide the context so that both of you can then go into this, since you raised Israel. Israel produced B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization. They produced a report called Welcome to Hell. And that basically documented testimonies in relation to the abuse taking place in the Israeli prison system. Now there's a new document that came out this year. In fact, I think last year, December, called Living Hell. And this basically documents, for example, the Palestinians who have been in custody since the genocide commenced. And to just give you practical examples, you've got 41-year-old in Beit Lahia in the Gaza Strip stating, during the torture, one of the soldiers raped me. He shoved a wooden stick up my anus, left it there for about a minute and pulled it out. Then he shoved it back in even harder, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, pushed the stick into my mouth and forced me to lick it after he was anally gang raped. So the point is, this is an Israeli human rights organization called the Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the Occupied Territories. These are Israeli citizens, and they are documenting cases of sexual violence and testimonies of rape and other forms of sexual violence during the genocide. I want you to tie it up with my good sister Umair and possibly explore this, particularly in light of your suggestions, and also in light of course, your defense of the ICE agents. So I want you to basically, I'll leave the discussion to the two of you in the meantime.
Okay.
All right. What are your thoughts on that? No,
You're asking me what my thoughts are? I can't defend that.
You can't defend
There's
it?
no way in hell.
Right. So it's wrong. You would agree that what the Israeli occupation is doing over there is wrong. You would condemn that.
Yes, I would condemn those acts. Yes, I would.
Okay.
To be surprised, I'm quite surprised. I am very surprised with that. For the last 2 years, we have been doing podcasts and updating the situation to the audience worldwide, what's taking place. And this is the first time in nearly 2.5 years, Sandra, that you've actually said that you condemn it. But then, of course, Umamer was asking the situation now in America with the ICE agents. Are you with that, or are you going to condemn the acts that some of these agents do? Sorry, Umamer, you can take over.
Yeah, me personally, I condemn it. Personally speaking, as an American, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing going on in this country, and I don't agree with any of it.
I personally condemn any law enforcement officer doing something horrible to somebody else when their job is to protect and serve.
But would you agree that they're not protecting and serving, and what they are actually doing is they're creating more turmoil in the country?
Well, I think that when mayors and governors give the people the go-ahead to spit on police officers, hurl stuff in their direction, cuss them out with the most filthy language I've ever heard in my life, it's causing a little bit of that.
Well, I mean, the cursing people out to a degree.
And throwing things at them?
I mean, okay, when it comes to a certain point, listen.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, I grew up in a generation where, if you get too close to me, I'm going to throw the first punch. I know it's a different generation right now, but that's how I was. You're not going to come and threaten me and expect nothing to happen. These people are intimidating people. They are harassing people. They are targeting people. They are profiling people. And then they are getting upset when somebody takes some sort of action. And it's, honestly speaking, it's justified. Action needs to be taken because it's getting out of hand. And there's going to come a point where, if people don't start taking action, everyone's rights are going to be stripped away. You're looking at what's going on.
I'm all about having rights, and I don't want to see anybody's rights stripped away. That's not who we are.
Being taken away. And it all started with the Patriot Act. I'll go all the way back then. That was the beginning of it. Now people are openly profiling people. This is not normal. There are reports of people who have gone through the legal process to get their citizenship, and ICE agents showing up in the outside of the immigration on the day of their interview and arresting them and taking them before they can get their interview. Do you think this is normal?
No, that's not cool.
Yes, this is what is happening. This is what these ICE agents are doing. So you people are sitting here like, oh, I care about my country and people got to do it legally. And, I just care about all of this. And when the problem is not them, the problem is us.
I was listening to everything that you said, and a lot of things that you say make perfect sense to me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say that these people are afraid, they're being intimidated, they're being stuff like that. Honey, I've been watching the footage for a while now, and all these guys have got to do is just show up in the neighborhood, and they are immediately surrounded and cussed at. These people are not afraid. They've been given the go-ahead to treat these officers as badly as you can possibly treat them to get them out.
I'm going to say,
who's intimidating who here?
Listen, when a group of masked, armed men, face coverage in a mob come to your neighborhood, do you
in Minnesota, it's like 3 degrees, isn't it?
It does not matter. where they are in the country. I've seen pictures of them in Arizona with their face covered.
Okay.
I've seen pictures of them in Alabama where I live with their face covered. Their
Okay.
face covering their faces. When a group of masked men come armed in a mob, do you think that it is a natural reaction? Because this is not normal for American citizens. Remember that. We don't have, this is not a normal thing that goes on in our lives. Do you
Right.
think that people should just take this as, oh, this is just another normal thing? This is normal. No, people are not going to take this as normal. Of course, people are going to get a little rowdy because it's not normal.
They're getting rowdy because the mayors and the governors are encouraging them
No,
to
they're
do it.
getting rowdy because they see where this is headed. They see
This is headed for insurrection, and that's a very dangerous thing. That takes down nations.
Exactly. And you are in support of it.
I'm not in support of insurrection.
Well, if you're in support of what the U.S. what they're legally, quote unquote, legally doing, then you are in support of the fall of this nation. Because I'm
Can
telling
I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What do you suggest? Let's pretend that let's pretend that no American citizens have ever been mistreated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if ICE came and only took the ones who have police records and are here illegally? How do you suggest they do that? What would that look like?
I would suggest that if they're going to start taking people away with police messenger records, they should start with their president. Start from the top up, okay?
No. That didn't answer my question. Yeah, I'm talking about real illegals that are here to harm us instead of do us good, and they need to be got. Okay. What would that look like? What would be the right way?
I would say anybody that does anything illegal should be held accountable to the laws of the land. Okay. But I'm not going to just single out, oh, let's go for the illegal people first. Go for everybody. Majority of the crime in the United States is done by U.S. American citizens.
Can I ask you a question, Sandra? Do you want all? I want to ask you a question, Sandra. I don't want to interrupt this conversation between the two of you. Are you aware of the fact that there are, at this point in time, 20 million illegal immigrants in the United States? Do you want all of them deported? All of them? Because those 20 million have been contributing to the economy of the United States for 20 years. Do you want all 20 million of them deported? The illegal, but without them, the American economy would be dead.
Okay, listen, me personally, especially people coming from Mexico, that's a tough one for me because they are very family oriented. They are hard workers. They got great values and all that. So that's a toughie for me. All I'm concerned about is the ones that are here to do us harm.
Let me tell you.
So here's my point. Here's the point.
Let me tell you, you're fear-mongering the wrong thing because you think you're more likely to get mugged by your fellow white man or your fellow American citizen than you are from anyone from anywhere, from somewhere else in the country. Statistically, there's no denying that. So you're the wrong thing.
But why do we need to add to the problem?
What do you mean add to?
We got our own stuff already, according to you. So why do we need to add to our problem and get criminals over here?
It's not about adding to the problem. You're making it sound like these people coming here are criminals. Majority of them are not criminals.
No, I didn't say that. I said the ones that are coming in who are not criminals, I don't have a problem with, especially the Mexicans, because they are such great people. I think they're great. So, I mean, I have some issues there.
Let me
see, I'm not fully on board.
You're talking about violence and bad behavior. How do you justify who wants to talk?
Sorry, I'm just wanting to let her know that she's hyper fixating on the wrong thing. And this is the problem. And I'm sorry to say it with people like you, Patricia. You want to hyper fixate on everybody else when you don't realize the problem is actually your own people.
The problem also is that she talks about.
I don't really understand what you mean by that because you just.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'll answer that.
Big brush. It's
see,
the problem is you people. I don't understand that thinking.
No, hold on. Who is you people? Who is you people?
I don't know. I was going to ask her.
No, but you said the problem is you people.
No.
You people.
Yusuf, I think you caught it wrong because Umar mentioned you people. So
I
would you mind unpacking that?
I said it, and I'll say it with my chest. You people like people that have this kind
people
of
who are white, honey. Is that what you meant?
Hey, I'm white too. I'm half white. My father's white. What is that?
Okay. I thought you meant, the white people.
No, I mean, the majority of them are white, but not all of them. There's decent white people. My father was one of them. He definitely had complete opposite views of you.
Okay.
But what I mean is people with this supremacist ideology, people that sit here and want to
This is a supremacist ideology. What is that?
I'm getting there. People with a supremacist ideology, people that want to hyperfixate on every other group of people that is different than you when you are the minority.
That's not me. Sorry. I do not do that. I'm talking about criminals. Okay? Criminals that are here to harm us. All right, let me ask you this question.
Cassandra, some of these people who were pulled out the vehicles didn't look like a criminal to me.
I know that. That's why I said a second ago that there are some things that I do have an issue with. There's some things that I do have an issue with.
I'd love to ask you about, especially the Epstein files and how your President Trump is involved in all of it. And of course, Mossad is also, like Epstein, was more likely a spy or an agent for the Israeli government. Do you still like...
Epstein was.
Can I mention one?
I didn't know that.
Your president's a pedophile. Sandra, your president's a pedophile. How does that sit with you every night when you go to bed?
Yusuf,
your president's a pedophile.
I would have to have 100% proof of that.
Well, go do your research because you're sitting
and do the and by the way, talking about harm to the immigrants, 2025 was ICE's deadliest year in 2 decades. 32 people died either in ICE custody or being shot dead by ICE. So how does it fare well with your questioning about the harm that these aliens are doing when it's actually ICE that's committing the violence and not these aliens? But my question to you is, how do you justify the fact that Trump now was a notorious pedophile? He's now basically being shown in the redacted files as having been a potential pedophile, being associated with a pedophile. Does that sit well and comfortably with you as a proud
American? It wouldn't. Okay? If it were true, it wouldn't.
But you're telling me you're sitting here doing research on, you're actually taking the time to do a research on the black and brown people that come here on quote unquote their criminal records, but you're not willing to take the time to do the research on your own.
I just said I have to. I'm going to.
You're going to. Why haven't you? Did you vote for president? Did you?
Because I stay as far away from people's personal lives.
Did you vote? Did you vote for Trump when his first election when he won?
No.
No. Did you vote for who? Did you vote for?
I didn't vote at all.
Okay. Did you vote when he ran the second time?
Nope.
Nope. You didn't vote. When did you start voting in your life?
I've never voted a day in my life because I think it's a circus.
Okay. Are you in support of Trump?
I think his heart's in the right place, but he's just a man, and he's not. His personality gets in the way, to be honest with you. But his heart is in the right place.
Do you think he's a good? Do you think he's a good Christian?
You've done a lot of research on the criminal records of immigrants? Am I right?
No, I haven't. No, but they have. That's not my job.
It's not your job to sit. You're sitting here saying, "Oh, the criminals," and then you're on the next second going to tell me you haven't even done any research.
I mean, tell that to the families who have had illegals coming across the border and murdering family members. Are you saying that doesn't happen?
No, nothing you say matters at this point because you're speaking out of ignorance.
No. Are you saying that never happened to any family in this country where illegal has killed one of their family members? Are you denying that?
That is an ignorant statement to say. You said you have
It's not ignorant.
done research on the amount of crime committed by immigrants in this country, but you're going to sit here and your whole argument is the immigrants are committing crimes and trying to hurt.
I didn't say all. I thought I made that clear.
Listen, be quiet and just do some research and then come back and talk to somebody.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, it's not a harsh thing for me to tell you. Do some research. Do some research on the president. Do some research on immigration, and then formulate your opinion. And I'm just going to assume that you didn't really do any research.
Well, the way you're sounding is if ain't none of them criminals, which is a lie. You know that.
Are you putting words in my wife? I didn't say none of them, but I also.
Oh, okay, good.
But
That's all I wanted.
Listen, I never said none of them, and you know this. Well, I'm sure there's a recording of this, so that's not the issue. The problem is you're sitting here talking about, they could come in here trying to harm us. I'm afraid of them coming in here to harm us. The criminal records, all is about crime, and you haven't even done any research on any of it.
Ma'am,
do you understand where I'm coming from?
High crime in your country.
Let me ask you something. Is what I'm saying wrong?
No, I'm just saying that the whole time it seems to me that you have been just lumping groups of people together. That's profiling. And you're accusing others of doing that. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, what groups of people have I lumped together specifically?
White people, all police officers.
My father's white, so does that mean I'm included in that? I'm grouping myself in that? No.
Okay, I understand that your father is white, but you're the one that did it. You called a total stranger whom you've never met a white supremacist, and I don't even
listen.
I don't even know what it means.
Ideology and a race are two different things. And yes, I have grouped an ideology together, just like I'll group all the Zionists together. Big deal.
Okay. Fair enough.
Exactly. But never have I said all white people. Never have I said, never will I say all white people. Never will I say all black people. Just like I will never say all Americans, because I know there's a lot that are different that don't.
And see, you won't catch me saying all black people either.
But
anybody.
But I will say this, okay? When you talk, whatever your name is, when you talk.
Call me Sandra.
Sandra, okay. When you talk, Sandra, you have mentioned immigrants. You have mentioned the Arabs. So, what I've seen from you so far is you mentioned the black and brown people.
I don't think I did that.
Yes, you did.
Wait a minute. When did I do that?
When you were talking about what's going on, you mentioned Iran and you mentioned Arabs when you were talking about that. When we talk about the immigrants, you mentioned the Mexicans, you mentioned Nigeria.
No, I'm not mentioning the people themselves. I'm mentioning the situation that's going on. I'm talking about a situation, not a people.
But you are inadvertently only talking about black and brown people, and you don't even realize it. That is the saddest thing. But I heard that you defend the Israeli.
Honey, I don't pay attention to people's skin color. It means absolutely nothing in the eyes of God. There are so many people so worried about skin color, and that's the dang problem. Drop it. We're all people. We bleed.
You're whitewashing what you're doing and you don't realize it.
We all bleed red, okay? Get over the skin color. Who cares?
I should be saying that to you because you inadvertently are only concerned about.
I think you're reaching there. I've went out of my way since I've been here to sit there and try to explain that you shouldn't lump a whole group of people together. Hey, you're all that way. I don't do that.
But Emma, is what I'm saying wrong?
Sorry. I just want to bring it back a bit, because I asked her initially regarding the Epstein files, and I don't think she actually touched upon it.
Yeah.
Even Brother Yusuf mentioned the possibility that Trump is a pedophile, or majority of the people in government are all involved in this human trafficking. And
share the latest screenshot with her to answer. Share it with her. Let her answer, Mohammed. Yeah, share it with her and let her answer.
What does it say?
Can you not see the screen?
Yeah. Can you make it a hair bigger?
Okay.
Please. Okay, that's good. That's good. Individuals frequently mentioned and implicated. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Ghislaine Maxwell, Alan Dershowitz. I'm just looking at the names here.
What they did. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk showed communication between Musk and his.
Look at Trump. Mentioned numerous times. Trump is mentioned the most, with all photos and references. One document alleges a 14-year-old girl was introduced to him at Mar-a-Lago. And this is after Epstein was convicted in 2008 of soliciting child girls for prostitution. So it's possible that your president was having sex with 12 and 14-year-olds, being the perverted. I mean, we know he's had sex with them, with prostitutes and pornographic actresses and porn stars. That he's confirmed. We know that. So your president is a sexual pervert on one level. We do know that.
Are they investigating all this right now?
No, hold on. Your president, they should be now, because the FBI did basically release something. They are claiming that there's information that's redacted, which in fact is more damning in respect of Trump. But on one level, we do know that your president is a dirty sexual pervert. We know that. That's quite clear. We don't have to debate that at all. He's a pervert. He's a narcissist. He's a psychopathic scumbag. But the more disturbing thing now is that he's having sex with children. No. Are you denying that? Are you denying that he's a pervert?
Let her respond, please.
Okay. Are you denying he's a sexual pervert?
No, I'm saying it needs to be investigated. These are allegations.
No, hold on. That he confirmed.
These are allegations.
No. I'm not talking about the children. I'm talking about, in the general sense, having sex with porn stars, sexually abusing women in general, having sex with multiple women.
Oh, it's horrible.
He knows that that's happening. That's happening. Prostitution and all of that. He's done. I'm talking about these aspects, these documents, which he was hoping not to circulate them to the public. People were begging him to release them. Now only 3 million have been released out of the 6 million, and out of the 3 million, most are redacted. They now indicate information where he was apparently cohorting or soliciting 14-year-old girls in Mar-a-Lago after the Jeffrey Epstein conviction in 2008. And out of all the people who's referenced, I'll let you answer. Can you explain, out of all the people who's mentioned, Trump is mentioned the most out of all the people. Out of all the people, Trump is mentioned the most. Yet the private communications between Trump and Epstein are not there for some bizarre reason.
Okay, here's the deal with me. If you can't already tell already, that's some horrible stuff. Anybody in their right mind couldn't defend that. But I'm going to let this investigation play itself out. And let's see where it goes.
Are you actually going to do some research? Because from what I'm learning right now, and you actually just like to talk without actually doing any research. Do some research. Okay?
I just got here, honey. I know. These are just now being brought to my attention.
I know.
Give me a minute.
So research, because you do some research.
Okay, I will do. I will do. And when I say I will, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we're not going to hold our breath, because it's been 2.5 years and we told you there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and you were just totally refusing to accept that. We informed you over the last 2 years that there were rapes and gang rapes and young children being shot in the head, being shot in the groin.
Yeah, but I also in return told you what the what am I saying? The Hamas guys that went across the border, what they did to those people, burning them alive, burning babies alive, tying family members together with wire, setting them on fire. I mean,
you know that's been debunked. You know that's fake news. You know the fact that even basically your own major newspapers have
Even the
basically
coroners said that some of the women had been raped so violently that they had broken pelvises.
Those are lies.
Listen,
Those are lies. And we've had programs. We've had programs. Yes, you can go to Wikipedia. I want to share this with this good lady and let her basically go home.
Put the link in the YouTube
No, but watch this now. In real time, we don't know. We don't trust. You may not study this at home. Just share this with her.
Sandra.
Go to the site called Hamas beheading hoax. And it deals with the hoax of
I know about the baby beheadings. They said there were 40, and it turns out not to be true. I know all about that.
The rape was also hoax. There were no rape cases. In fact, now the one instance by in the New York Times report by this particular reporter, I forget his name. It's such a long time. We did a complete piece on it. This reporter that documented the supposed rape, the family of the victim who had died, she had died subsequently, came out and stated that those rape allegations were totally hoax, were totally fake. In fact, the individual that had originally been spreading the stories of the rape that had occurred, he had been taking selfies on himself after having seen the alleged atrocities. The chap his name was called Ras Segal. And Ras Segal, who was the first individual that was on the scene and purportedly documented these supposed rapes and atrocities and burning alive of people that were taking place, eventually, after having seen that, he was found and caught taking on his Twitter handle selfies with him smiling. A person who had just allegedly watched mass gang rapes and people being burned alive.
Okay, well, that's pretty damn sick.
Yeah. Then you had an organization called Zaka, which is run by a pedophile. I'm not making this up, by the way, believe it or not. And this individual who runs Zaka was linked in the Epstein files. He was a rabbi that is linked in the Epstein files. His organization came up with the idea of mass rapes. And now that's also been debunked because there's no evidence that anyone was in fact raped on October 7th. No evidence of any rape that had occurred on October 7th. What is quite clear that, this is a fact. This is a fact, Sandra, that there's no beheaded. Firstly, every news item was talking about beheaded babies. There were no beheaded babies. Every news item was talking about people being burnt alive. Now we've realized that those vehicles.
There's a photo that exists of a father and son being wired together and charged.
No, you're wrong. And I'll pull up the files. Those photos that you basically see of this convoy of vehicles and people that were burnt by Israeli Apache helicopter gunships. Israel and the Times of Israel and the Jerusalem Post has confirmed that Israel invoked the Hannibal Directive on that particular day. The Hannibal Directive is that if there is a hostage situation in the traditional sense, then rather than allow any foreign group to take hostages, they ensure that they kill the hostage takers and the hostages by blowing them up. And that's exactly what they did on October 7th. Israel burnt alive its own civilians. Israel burnt alive the convoy of vehicles. Israel burnt alive its own Israeli citizens that were being taken away by Hamas in hostages. It's quite clear that Hamas did shoot certain individuals, and a large number of people that were shot were in fact Israeli soldiers, and that's fair game because Israeli soldiers regularly engage in mass atrocities. So there was no beheaded babies, there was no mass rape, there was no burning alive of people, and yet your president lies that there was none. No, where's the evidence? Show me a report.
I'm just saying. Okay, let's pretend none of all that happened. I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that. What did they do?
Don't say let's pretend. I'm telling you as a fact. You can't pretend it didn't happen. It didn't happen as a fact. So you can't say let's pretend it didn't happen.
I'll give you that as a fact. Can you tell me what they did do, though?
You see the rumors of the alleged atrocity of the kibbutz, which was the target of the Hamas attack. That hoax basically began to be circulating of firstly the militants having beheaded dozens of babies and hanged them outside. In 2024, the French news daily Le Monde traced the origins of the hoax. And when they found the origins of the hoax, they basically traced it to one particular individual who was a single staff member. And they traced it to an individual called Ras Segal and this organization called Zaka. Zaka is an Israeli organization which was formed by a pedophile who's mentioned in the Epstein files. Ras Segal, who witnessed the mass rapes, allegedly, was questioned much later as to why he was found taking selfies of himself smiling after the alleged incident. So if he had seen the alleged incident, it behoves that he would have been traumatized by what he saw, and he wouldn't have been taking selfies of himself a couple of hours much later, smiling and laughing and in a jovial fashion.
Okay, let's just say I grant
all of
you
this
all
was a
that.
hoax. All
I
of this was
grant
a
you
hoax,
all
and
of
it
it.
was a lie. And
Yusuf,
Hamas and Israel needed
Yusuf,
to do well.
let her respond. Let her respond. I think there's a bit of a delay, Sandra, between you and
There's a
Yusuf.
delay.
So
listen, I tell you what.
I
Can
just
I jump
want to
off
add
for a
something,
few minutes
Sandra.
and come back?
Sandra,
I've got some issues.
to add something. I just want to add something.
Yes. Go ahead.
Every time myself and Yusuf did the show for the last 2.5 years, we were highlighting all of this information, not from Muslim sources or Palestinian sources or Hamas officials. It was from agencies from within Israel. Okay, so you would always use this argumentation, but Hamas did it first, or what made Israel or the IDF respond to this genocide? And now the fact that all of this information was a hoax and it turned out to be false.
Okay.
I don't understand that you still holding this position, Sandra. And it
No, I'm
baffles me.
just saying. It's just a simple question. Okay,
It doesn't baffle me
say
because
they didn't do none of that. Okay, I'm taking you at your
that's the way
word.
these people think.
What did they do? What happened that day? Does anybody know?
No, Yusuf, hold on, Yusuf, because Umar mentioned something, and when I'm sitting here, I find that sorry, Sister Umar, that's what I'm trying to say is that it's good to have somebody from that side of the world, on America, who understands the traditions or the culture or the mentality. And when I find it hard to understand how Sandra can defend it. Brother Yusuf gets highly frustrated.
I'm not defending anything. I'm asking questions. What did they? Wait a minute.
Sandra, we can't
I got to
hear you.
stop all of that. I have some issue that I got to take up real quick. Can I step away from here
she's
for
talking,
about 5
but it's
minutes?
not any volume.
Can I step away for about 5 minutes?
Sure, Sandra, go ahead.
I sure appreciate it. Just hold up.
No problem. Just put yourself on mute or whatever. But this is the this is the problem myself and Brother Yusuf have been facing for the last 2.5 years, is that we're trying to inform, I'm not saying these type of people or individuals with this type of mentality, but they refuse to accept the genocide. They're saying, yeah, but Hamas did this, or the people of Palestine have done this. This is the result of what they have done. But Brother Yusuf is always bringing receipts to prove that Hind Rajab was shot over 500 times in a vehicle. And we did another article regarding Muhammad, who was unfortunately he had a disability, and they set dogs on him, and he was left in the room to rot. I'm sorry to mention this, but we did a show about this, and Sandra was still saying, yeah, but it was because Hamas. What the hell are you on about?
I want to say this. Okay, so Zionism is a supremacist ideology, right? Supremacy is a supremacist ideology. What is supremacy? A group of people, or it all falls into eugenics, who believe that they are better or more superior than another group of people. So there is nothing you can say to people like that will make them believe it if they truly believe it in their heart, because at the end of the day, they think that they are better than you or me or this person or that person. And this is why they're dangerous. And people like Sandra, like, I hope you can change your ways, but it is a supremacist ideology, and these people at the end of the day, they think that they are the chosen people. They think that they are better than the others, and why would they want to give that up?
You made a very good point there, because every time we spoke to Sandra, and she's a hardcore Christian, I would classify her as a fundamentalist, where she always used to refer to the Old Testament. And I know Brother Yusuf was also kind of dealt with this when we said regarding Israel, and, it shouldn't really exist. But she would always defend Israel because of the biblical narrative. But for us, like myself in the UK and Brother Yusuf in South Africa, we'll get so frustrated of why is Sandra opposing what we are displaying to her. So we will get, that would be the case with this. But having you on the stage, and alhamdulillah, it seems to be educating us why they have this type of mentality, because they think, or some people, individuals think that they are better. Either it's a religious aspect, or I don't know, is it a religious aspect that they think they're better? And this is what I like to explore and unpack.
I don't think it's a religious aspect. I do believe it falls into that crazy study of eugenics. These people think that they are better than those people at the end of the day. It's like when Sandra said, when they tell you get out the car, you just shut up and get out of the car. You don't question anything. You just follow. That is her ideology. That is their ideology. And that's exactly what it is. End of story.
Okay, thank you for that. To be honest, I'm really overwhelmed with today's show. It's been like so much information being shared. And guys, if you are tuning in now, don't forget to watch it from the beginning. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, COVFF, and of course, Brother Yusuf's channel, the South African Debate Initiative. Please go and subscribe to the channels. Myself and Brother Yusuf have been shadow banned. This is one of the reasons we haven't really been on YouTube as much. I'm also available on TikTok under the same name of COVFF. So I've been on TikTok for the last couple of weeks. So please, if you are on TikTok, give me a follow and give me a shout out. I really prefer that. Would find that good. I'm just reading the comments at the same time. Thank you, Amanatullah. It's been a long time for us doing this. It looks like you've changed your name, mashallah. I really appreciate your support. But yeah, Brother Yusuf, do you want to wait till Sister Sandra comes back and we can share your screen, or do you want to say something?
Yeah, you could share the screen here. I think we've discussed this ad nauseum. I mean, I can't believe that after 2 years, and people like Trump still repeat this.
I'll apologize if I came off a little harsh, Sandra. But I meant everything I said. But if I said it in a way that offended you, sorry.
No, she's away from the screen right now. She'll be back in a couple of minutes, so maybe she'll hear this afterwards. But no, Mamer, I think you were spot on, and it's great to hear from you because, of course, you're the other side of the pond from us. So having your expertise and your feedback is very valuable for us because it gives us the brain kind of like, how do different people work and how do they think, and if you're in you're back, Sandra? So you guys can continue, and I'm gonna have a little break.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to say something to Amir is that I don't think you were at all harsh. If anybody's harsh, and I think Muhammad knows, it's myself, and that's just my nature.
I think are you muted, Yusuf? I can't hear you.
Hey, I come from a long line
you can hear him?
of loud people in my family, so I'm okay.
So Sandra, just before you left, you made a point. I just want to go through this article with you, and we can go through it together. Can you see this?
Yeah, I see it.
And can you see it? It's got your Israeli forces. You asked what happened on October 7. We've discussed this. We've had programs on this for hours, but I'll be quick here with you. Israeli forces accused of killing their own citizens under Hannibal directive during October 7th chaos. Hannibal at Eretz, meaning Hannibal large. These words reported by Israeli newspaper Haaretz confirm what many Israelis have feared since the Hamas attacks in October. Israeli forces have killed their own citizens. That was on October 7th. A number of Israeli hostages have died in Gaza.
By drones? Did it say in the article drones were doing it? They were sending drones to kill
not drones. They were using Apache helicopter gunships.
I got you.
Civilians, right. So the Israeli military is coming under increase to reveal just how many of their own citizens were killed by Israeli soldiers, pilots, and police in the confusion of the Hamas attack on the southern Israeli. This is from the ABC, Australian broadcasting newspapers. Survivors and relatives have been asking not just what went wrong, but whether the military invoked the controversial and supposedly rescinded Hannibal directive. This Hannibal directive, it goes into the details. It basically means is that where there's a hostage situation, rather than to avert the hostage situation, they basically kill their own civilians. They kill their own civilians, they murder them in relation to that. After October 7th, there were some testimonies from Israeli citizens that Israeli forces responded to the Hamas attack, killed their own citizens. They killed. Nevertheless, many Israelis and supporters of Israel condemned anyone who suggested it had occurred, even though eyewitness testimony and basically have basically concerned that. The IDF has not confirmed or denied. They could have denied a version, only saying it is one of the many things from that day under investigation. Now, this is more than a year ago. This was mass Hannibal in July. This was 2024. In 2026, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz revealed commanders in the IDF gave the order to fire on troops who had been captured by Hamas at 3 separate locations, explicitly referencing the Hannibal directive. One former Israeli officer, Nov Erez, told Israeli that the directive was not specifically ordered, but was apparently applied by responding air crews. And then he goes on to give a quote, "This was mass Hannibal. It was tons and tons of openings in the fence and thousands of people in every type of vehicle, some with hostages and some without, and so they were shooting them." Air Force pilots described the Yidioth Aronot newspaper the firing of tremendous amount of munition on October 7th at people attempting to cross the border between Gaza and Israel. The frequency of the fire at the thousands of the terrorists was enormous at the start, and only at a certain point did the pilots begin to slow their attacks and carefully choose their targets. So tank officers have also confirmed they applied their own interpretation of the directive when firing on vehicles returning to Gaza, potentially with Israelis on board. So you might be killing them with that action. That is right. But I decided that this is the right decision, that it's better to stop the kidnapping, that they won't be taken, so we therefore kill them. So you saw those burnt convoys of vehicles. Those were destroyed by Israel, not by Hamas. Those burnt houses, those were destroyed by Israel.
You mean all of those loads of cars that we saw?
All those cars. Tank ordered fire on house. In 2 incidents, Israeli civilians survived Israeli forces firing on them and killing other hostages. One survivor of Kibbutz Nir Oz, a Gaza border community, described being fired upon by the Israeli military. And this is in the Jerusalem Post, as Hamas members tried to take her and other hostages across the border. So they were fired on by the Israeli directly. And here's the burning of the homes. You know who did this? Not Hamas. It was being done by Israel. IDF helicopter appeared above us. At some point, the helicopter shot the terrorist, the driver, and the others. Now, these are obviously Israeli witnesses that that do not side Hamas, and so they call them terrorists. But they stated that they were being shot directly by Israel himself. One lady said one woman, her friend Efrat Katz, was shot and killed. 6 months later, this was 2 years ago, an Israeli force investigation acknowledged that it was likely an Israeli attack helicopter which had targeted the wagon and had killed Efrat Katz. So you find, for example, burnt vehicles. Israeli forces accused of killing.
Brother Yusuf, there's a lot of information. We got to let Sandra respond because it's kind of
so the nutshell. Can I just summarize it? The nutshell is those burnt convoys of vehicles, those burnt houses, those burnt bodies were being blown up and done by Israel, not by Hamas. Hamas never, and then afterwards, after they were burnt by Israel, Israel then claimed Hamas burnt them.
While Israelis doing all this killing that we're seeing here in this article and everything, what was Hamas doing? Were they giving them a dozen roses and a box of candy?
Hamas was attempting to take Israeli soldiers and Israeli civilians who are also soldiers hostage. That's what Hamas was doing.
They were trying to take them hostage. So they were trying to
take them as hostages in order to negotiate the release of 10,000 Palestinian prisoners who were being kept in Israeli dungeons. That's what Hamas was doing.
Okay, so they never fired one shot and killed anybody.
They did shoot. They didn't burn, but they did shoot. They shot Israeli soldiers, and that's fair game. Israeli soldiers are legitimate
What
targets.
about the video footage of an Israeli man just happened to be walking down the sidewalk and a terrorist comes up and shoots him dead and he fell like a tree right there on the pavement?
There
What
wasn't
about
an
that?
Israeli.
And he wasn't a soldier.
No. There was no such video of the.
I saw the video.
The video you're referring to was an ITV news report, when you're confusing it with the Israeli soldiers killing him and then blaming Hamas. What had happened?
Okay.
Released
That's all I
footage.
want to know.
I'll show you the video now. ITV had a footage. I'll show you the video. ITV had a footage where a man was crossing the road, and he was going to a particular location, and the Israelis shot him. And when Israel was confronted about that, they then said Hamas shot him. I'll find the video for you. I'll even find the video for you.
If you've got it handy, that would be great. But if you don't,
but now you're not answering this question here. You're not answering the question that Israel killed its own civilians on October 7th. Why are you not answering that?
Evidently, the article says they did.
The article, not only the article says, the Jerusalem Post said they did as well. The Jerusalem Post, the Haaretz, the Times of Israel confirmed that as well. Israeli newspaper confirmed that. So what do you say about that now? Now that I've showed you, and we've had programs on this. We've had programs on this.
2.5 years.
Yes, it's here. I think there's one. Yes, it's here. I'll show you here. Hold on a second. ITV News. Let me try and get this.
It reminds me. This is going to sound horrible. There's a old story in America about a group of slaves that one day they in the middle of the night they unalived the entire village of all the white people. And I feel like Sandra's the type of person that will say, "Oh, they were wrong."
Yeah.
But no.
Yes, it's here, Sandra. I've got it for you. Sandra,
I would like to think I'm smarter than all that.
You are smart, but you shouldn't be justifying mass murder, Sandra.
1 second, Brother Yusuf.
You are smart, but you shouldn't be justifying cold-blooded murder like your father did.
Brother Yusuf,
like
this is
my
what
father did. What?
Sandra.
My father?
Yeah.
Sandra, for the last 2.5 years, we've been telling you that there's a genocide taking place, right?
Yes,
but you always used to come out with but
I try to look at both sides of the story. That's what I try to do.
But the Israelis Sandra, the Israelis are the occupying force. They have got no right in that land. It's the land of the Palestinians. And we gave you this scenario. Sorry, Yusuf. And we gave you this scenario so many times. If somebody comes into your house and puts you in the back garden, locks you up in a cage, beats you now and again, once a week, probably feed you, probably come and grape you, whatever. You're like, yeah, but that's not an issue. But I don't understand.
No, it is an issue. That would be an issue with me.
Oh, come on. But this is what's happening. This is This is their land. It's the land of the Palestinians.
Okay.
And the West Bank.
I need to ask you to do me a favor. Yusuf, I need to ask you to do me a favor. Will you please apologize to me for what you said about my dad?
What did I say about your dad?
You just said something about cold-blooded murder.
Well, the point, you see, it's because you said if your dad was around, he wouldn't have supported this. So I'm saying,
no, he wouldn't have.
Well, my question in response was your dad part of the civil rights movement in the 60s?
I was a baby in the 60s. I was born in 62.
How old are you, Sandra?
I am 63 years old.
Okay, so
fixing to be 64.
Okay, so you're not. I thought probably you were closer to your 70s. So you're not.
No. I'm not that high yet.
Yeah. So I'll answer your question, but you wanted the video. So let's just see this video, and then you tell me. This is the video you were alluding to. Have a look at this. This is 2 years ago.
A Palestinian man in a group carrying a white flag in Gaza who was shot dead. The Israeli military told us it was not aware of the incident. It then said we had edited the pictures. Those pictures last week prompted accusations of an Israeli war crime from around the world. Now an Israeli general has come close to owning up, saying his troops were in the area and there are mistakes. This is war, he said.
The funeral of a husband and a father. A Palestinian civilian shot dead under a white flag and with his hands up. Ramzi Abu Salul was killed in southern Gaza on Monday of last week. He was one of 5 men waiting to see if Israeli soldiers positioned a few hundred meters away would let them cross battle lines to rescue relatives. A cameraman working for ITV News interviewed Mr. Abu Salul about his intentions. Then, just a few seconds later, fearful for his own safety, the cameraman stopped filming as he ran, but resumed a few seconds later. The IDF used this pause in filming to raise doubts. The video is clearly edited, they said in a statement. ITV News has now obtained another video of the shooting, and this recording is continuous. There are no breaks or edits. Here, the 2 videos are synchronized, and it's clear there was no interference or trickery during the 5-second pause in the original recording aired by ITV News. Just after the shooting, our cameraman in the pale blue protective gear shouted, "The tank fired! The tank fired!" Here you can make out the tanks to which he referred. The gunfire came from more than one weapon. In this footage, a bullet strikes the wall just above the men's heads. We showed our material to a ballistics expert who concluded after acoustics analysis that the gunfire, which continued, came from the direction of the tanks. Our cameraman is in no doubt.
While I was trying to film, I noticed many military vehicles. I kept glancing back and forth between the vehicles and the group of men. I noticed a laser beam coming from the direction of the tank. Then I heard sniper fire.
So you see, that's the video that you're talking about, but it's actually the Israelis that shot dead this man that was holding a white flag. But beyond that, I want to show you something which is even worse than that. Mama, just share this. This is my last video, and then this is only about a minute.
Yeah,
this
sure.
Is only a minute, I'm just
thinking about the time because it's nearly 3 hours. So we'll make this the last video.
We'll make this the last video. It's 2 minutes, and I have to go for Maghreb as well. So I'll have to knock off soon. This is the last video. I want to show you this, and just Sandra then can comment.
Killing 2 Palestinian men in the West Bank after they appeared to surrender. The men are seen leaving a building and lying on the ground in front of Israeli forces in the northern city of Jenin. Palestinian authorities have identified them as 26-year-old Al-Muntasir Abdullah and 27-year-old Youssef Assasa. Both men lift their T-shirts, they hold their hands in the air, apparently to show that they were not carrying weapons or explosives. The Israeli soldiers then appeared to order the men back inside the building before they were shot. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem and has the latest.
Well, that's just nuts.
So they shot them. So both the videos you were talking about are Israelis killing Palestinians. It's got nothing to do. There's no video you'll be able to show online on the net of Hamas killing anyone. I challenge you, not one. And then they crushed these people with the garage. So they shot them dead. They put them in, and they let the garage crush their bodies after they were shot dead. So they were crushed to smithereens. So the first video was a video you were referring to. The second video was a video which, again, and all these videos show Israelis murdering Palestinians. Not a single video of Hamas killing any Israeli. Not a single video.
I cannot defend that, and I won't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's something positive. Because for the last 2.5 years, Sandra, we have been telling you that this has been taking place. We mentioned Hind Rajab. Remember that, Yusuf? And of course, that was a war crime. And also Muhammad, who was, in his own property, they set dogs on him, and unfortunately he died. He had a disability, and they left his body in the apartment for days. And we've been telling you this for ages. But unfortunately, you don't seem to understand or grasp that the Israeli government, of course, with the IDF, is committing a genocide. And you still seem to have this ideology, but it's what have Hamas done? What have the Palestinians done? What do you want them to do, Sandra? Do you want them just to say, okay, here's the land, we're going to move out? What is it you want these people to do? And this is why I've been struggling for
I think everybody just needs to learn to live together in peace and harmony. Everybody needs to lay down their weapons. And if you want my opinion, everybody needs to just stop this stuff.
That's easy to say when it's not your property that's being taken away, not your land, not your family that's being attacked.
Oh, I know your time's running short. I want to make this very clear before y'all kick me. Is when we were talking about the lady, Renee, that was shot by the ICE agent. I want you to know that I cried my eyes out that day because that was something that did not have to happen. But there were choices, bad choices being made. Now, the other guy that got shot a whole bunch of times, after the one shooting of the lady and everything, I removed myself from it. But I'm telling you now that there's two sides to every story.
I knew you were going to say that. I really knew you were going to say that.
Ask her that. Ask
I knew she was going to say that. And again, it's back to square one again.
Ask her the question.
No, wait. I'm just trying to say that I'm not a cold-blooded person. These things do affect me and everything. I don't know the ins and outs on the other guy. I just know.
Well, you can ask them in the hereafter.
Cooler heads
it's too late. It's too late because they're dead now. So how are you going to get the other side? You know what they were thinking. Okay, you in your mindset, the police officer was scared, right? Okay, what about the lady driving the vehicle? When are you going to ask her? I guess it's too late now, isn't it? Because she's dead.
Besides that, Muhammad, she can see. Sandra, do you have common sense to see that when you shoot and drill someone with 9 bullets in the body, that is not self-defense? When the Israelis drill 500 bullets into a 6-year-old child, how can you say there are two sides of the story? There are two sides of the story. When the facts basically show,
I understand that.
No,
Yusuf,
closer to home.
Yusuf, before we end the show, I really want you to play the clip of the Red Crescent lady speaking to
Okay, let me get the clip. I want her to listen to it.
Guys, this is really emotional, all right? So I really want you to, her last words before, the tank completely destroyed the vehicle that she was in. We're going to play an audio clip of this young child.
Let me go to TRT World. Here's it. I'll get it for you right now. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll get it. Let me share the screen. And I want Sandra to think about this and dream about this tonight, Sandra.
Muhammad, I've always said that I'm against any atrocities, no matter who's doing it. I still feel the same way.
Yes, it's here, Muhammad. Can we play it?
Okay, we're going to play it. Yeah, appreciate that, Sandra.
Share the screen. Right, here we are. Look at it.
نقرأ أنا وياكي آية قرآن ونقرأ قرآن وأدعي شوي. شو رأيك؟ نحكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم. برافو عليكي، هيك حافظة. ايش يا عمري؟
Those are flies there.
That
and maggots.
I promise you that
Maggots.
Jesus was there with her. And I just
What?
can't.
Sorry. What did you say? Jesus. Sorry.
Any of
Can you
this.
pause it? Can you pause? This is what really annoys me about Sandra.
She was found with maggots.
What the hell are you on about? What are you on about? Jesus is with. What are you on about, Sandra?
No, listen. Let me finish.
Jesus died
You're
like an animal according to
misunderstanding me.
naked with his penis being exposed.
I
What are you
can't
talking about?
Y'all, I cannot defend this. I can't do it.
So what's Jesus got to do with this? Jesus is a man
I'm
like
just
you and me.
saying that poor child was being comforted. Jesus doesn't turn his back on anybody, especially a little 6-year-old child begging for help.
Jesus was not there to help her. He was not there to inspire Trump with his satanic behavior or the Israelis with their satanic behavior. So what does Jesus got to do with this?
Because it brought out an emotion in me, and I just know that the Lord was there with her.
But the Lord instructs these people to do it. The Old Testament instructing these people.
No, he doesn't.
Listen,
He instructs mass murder.
At the end of the day, Sandra, I want you to understand that there is no justification for some of the things that certain people are doing in this world. There's no justification, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. There is no, but there's another side to it. But there's no justification for it. It should not have happened, and it should never happen again. And
I'll agree with you there.
Yeah, and if you agree with it, now change your views, change your status, change the way you think. Because in all honesty, when you can say a woman is shot 9 times, or you can say, but there's 2 sides to a story. At the end of the day, you are still justified. And when you do that, you become part of the problem.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap it up for today, guys. I really appreciate everybody's interaction. Sandra, you're always welcome to come back again. Hopefully, we're going to do another show after a week or so. And plus, Ramadan is not far away, literal stone throw away. So hopefully we can continue. But really, grateful for you to be brave and come on and talk about your position and your opinion.
I apologize if I offended anybody on this panel.
Likewise. But you can understand why, as Muslims or people with the heart, could kind of find it very frustrating with some of the, with the answers that you give. It's like it's just so difficult for me to comprehend. But anyway, I guess everybody has their own opinion. But I just want to go across the board. Brother Yusuf, before we wrap it up, would you like to say anything? And then hopefully to our new guest on the panel, Ahmed from Alabama. Hopefully we can...
Nice to meet you, Amir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra, for that time you've been with us, and thank you, Sister Amir, for meeting you for the first time. I think what is quite clear is that the world that we see around us is run and operated by fundamentally sick people, sick, sadistic, satanic people who revel in the sexual abuse of young children and young girls.
That's ridiculous.
And these are the people that are running society. People like Trump, people like the UK Prime Minister and Prince Andrew and members of the royal family. And I think what the Epstein files did is that it blew the cover on the fact that this guy here was obviously had his own personal agenda. He paid lots of people money, but he blackmailed individuals by ensuring that these individuals were found in compromised sexual positions with minor children, with young girls. And, when you engage in any kind of promiscuous behavior, that's bad in itself. But I mean, people can get away with it. So you seen as a Casanova or whatever the case is. When you start abusing little children, that's indefensible and it's unjustifiable. And I think if they can abuse and sexually abuse little children, then why should we even support and follow the laws that they impose? And no wonder they can then unleash ICE agents and Nazis and Nazi laws and Gestapo death squads on society at large. And so the aim of society and communities is we need to stand up. We need to oppose the political establishment, oppose the religious establishment. Stand up. I call on the Americans. Both of you are in the United States. Sandra, you need to join and be part of the revolution. Overthrow Trump. Get rid of him. Get rid of the American establishment. They're going to destroy you. If it means using armed force against Trump and his goons, by all means do that. I would support any kind of armed insurrection against the American establishment and against Trump. If he's raping children, obviously there's a lot to be proven. And if the people within his establishment are pedophiles, then pedophiles have no need and no right to rule society. And from an Islamic point of view, we stand up for justice. And any kind of justice, whether it's against a Muslim ruler or a non-Muslim ruler, the Quran is paramount in our authority and the paradigm of the Prophet Muhammad and that of all the other prophets. If Jesus and Muhammad was today here, who would they stand with? Would they stand with Trump, the pedophile? Would they stand with Marco Rubio, the sick sycophant? Would they stand with people like Andrew or Jeffrey Epstein and all these world leaders? Or would they be in the squatter camps and the refugee camps of Gaza and some of the poorest areas in the world? I think the answer is quite clear. They would be amongst the poorest people and the oppressed. It's our duty to stand up for the oppressed. And sometimes armed resistance is required against the political establishment. And when that happens, people need to decide on which side they are on.
Well said, Brother Yusuf. Well said. I really appreciate that. That's really been profound, to be honest, and it's a beautiful way to kind of like wrap the show up. Mer, thank you for joining us. Anything you would like to share, feel free to speak openly.
Okay. I just want to say thanks for the discussion. It was very interesting. I just want to point it out there, FYI, if any 3-letter people are listening to me, Big Brother. I'm not going to do any armed revolution thing right here. Just protecting my back.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I'm just gonna protect my back. But no, on a serious note, I was gonna say to Sandra, if I said anything, I stand by whatever I said to you 10 toes down. But if I said it in a way that offended you, I apologize for that. But I would suggest genuinely, I see you have your opinions and everything, but I don't feel like you have done justice to your research. So I would suggest doing a deeper dive when you do research on things before speaking on certain matters. And I say that humbly. Just go ahead and, the research is out there and everything. You just it's going to take you some time. You're going to have to put some hours aside, but do some research before talking about some things. And then I also want to add to you that you have to be careful of some ideologies, because do a little research on history and we can see, historically speaking, what's going on in the United States is not that has never happened before and far into the world. And we have an indication of where we're headed. And this nation, you don't have to be afraid of foreigners. You don't have to be afraid of people that are different.
I'm not afraid of foreigners.
If anything, we need to be afraid of ourselves, because it's going to be the American people that bring this country down, not anybody else. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. I just want to say thank you all for having me. I will do that research. Amir, and nice meeting you, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Yes, Sandra, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, COVFF. Also on TikTok under the same name. So go to my TikTok. If you go to your TikTok account, type in COVFF, and hopefully you'll find me. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to Brother Yusuf's channel, the South African Debate Initiative. There's some fantastic content on there. And myself and Brother Yusuf have been doing this partnership for nearly 3 years now, alhamdulillah. And of course, we are being shadow banned. We are being restricted in how far our resources go. But alhamdulillah, we still continue with highlighting this type of mentality. And May mentioned something when she said that she's not surprised. For me, it's a surprise. Maybe because I'm naive or living in the UK.
So my father, it's funny because my father was born she said she was born in 63. My father and mother was born in 66 and 68. I grew up listening to my father and parents speak against Zionism. I remember as a child, my dad saying, we don't hate the little hat people. We don't like Zionism. And my grandmother's Jewish, by the way. A fake Jew, but she's still Jew. Anyway, I digress. And my father, based on, the way things were from when he was a kid to as he saw things developing, he used to actively talk to us about political stuff and, the way he thinks that this country's heading. And subhanAllah, like, I feel like everything that my father was saying we're heading towards. But again, my father was a smart man. He was very well versed in history. And I think he can see the signs of what's going on and where we're heading. So it really doesn't surprise me personally.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the audience for staying with us for nearly over 3 hours. This is probably one of the longest streams I've done for such a long time. Brother Yusuf, have you got anything planned in the future? Any debates or any discussions?
Yeah, we do have one coming up on the synoptic problem. That's in the pipe works. I was going to have something with William Albrecht, Reverend Father William Albrecht, probably in December, but it never went through. So we're going to probably have 2 upcoming debates soon. I don't know if it'll be done in Ramadan since it's around the corner, but we hopefully will have our streams during Ramadan, and we will discuss this and a few other issues. But we are having 2 upcoming debates coming up in the next 2 months at the very least.
Yeah, please keep us posted with that. Okay, inshallah. That'll be great. So yeah, guys, I definitely recommend to go to Brother Yusuf's YouTube channel. Please just give it a like, give it a subscribe. Let's get this algorithm going ahead and quickly, because of course, being shadow banned, it's not a good thing, and it's quite uncomfortable in reaching a wider audience. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, guys, final words from me, your host Mohammed Abu Shuaib from COVFF. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.